just gotta keep moving forward.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Coaching Clash, the Platinum Push Preliminary Tournament. We are starting today off with three of the coaches and I. I'll be filling in for Faffer since he can't be here. We are just going to be discussing our thoughts on the tournament and after seeing how the teams played yesterday, our thoughts on the teams and what they could do moving forward. Everyone else can introduce themselves.
I'm Careless. I've been coaching at Overwatch for about 3 years. I've coached up into contenders. Currently coaching in collegiate with University of Missouri.
Coach Metal. I've been coaching for 3.5 years, 3 years, somewhere around there. Head coach for Fresno State. I've been around multiple 4 or 5 teams, helped a little bit up there here and there, but mostly hearts and collegiate. So
Hi, I'm Summer. I'm an ex-Contenders Australia and EU Contenders Trials coach. Been coaching for 2 years nearly now. Done a lot of work with kind of funny meme teams, but have coached all the way up and down the range from doing high-level breakdowns of Contenders players to low-level bronze players learning how to play the game.
Yeah. So I guess my first question for everyone is, what are you expecting actually going into the tournament? I know Meadow is returning runner-up, and Sama Careless, you guys haven't ever done this tournament before. So what are you guys kind of thinking going into this?
I am actually kind of surprised by the level of coordination from these teams, and this is a discussion that we've kind of had in the chat for the Clash server. Um, they actually work together really well, which is a really good sign because that means they're also coachable. As far as expectations, just looking at how they performed last night, I wouldn't expect these teams to be any different. The ones that we're going to see facing together tonight. It's a pretty intense 5 map runs across the board, so I want to keep seeing that.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I
like
feel the same way. Sorry. I feel the same way. I was impressed with how hard they worked. Exactly the coordination that Carla was talking about. I kind of expected to walk into, like I said, a tornado and have to, really fix a lot of things. But these teams feel like they're working well together. So I was quite impressed for play.
Yeah, same here. Like Metal said, I was kind of surprised by the level of some of the teams and kind of how they have a lot of some of the basic fundamentals. Kind of they have 50-50 on what you'd say is a fundamental. Some have them, some don't. But overall, there's a lot of energy as well. Like there's a lot of wanting to do things, which is kind of really interesting to see. The teams are like eager to like be vocal and try lots of different things, which you often don't see from a lot of like, you know, quote unquote hard stuck T3 teams.
Yeah, it's
What?
actually a really good point. The mentality of these teams is pretty solid. They're focused. They're also hyped up, especially C96. They were they hyped themselves up pretty hard into the matches yesterday.
It's kind of good
I
to see though.
one thing that I would be personally worried about if I was in your guys' shoes is kind of like to me like the level of competition that we saw yesterday was almost not platinum in a lot of the cases. It looked really good. So one thing I'd be worried about is almost like can we expect the same when we go into these guys scrims, right? Like is that something that's been weighing on your guys' minds?
There's always a differential between scrims and officials, and a great majority of the time, scrims should be objective focused, right? It's not win lose unless it's a performance scrim where you're specifically looking to measure the performance of the team and gauge how they'll be doing in upcoming officials. Um, so yes, the energy is going to be different. I don't really predict that, at least from the VCs that I sat in on, that their attitude would really change. Just that basic energy level is what I would expect to have variation from officials.
I completely agree with that. Yeah, that situation was more like, oh, coach is watching, so we have to
Yeah, the
make sure
pressure's on.
and keep our energy high. So yeah, I don't necessarily expect them to keep that same exact energy, but I did see great mentals. The team was picking each other up every time they went through a loss. They were picking each other up around and they weren't letting anybody drop. I didn't see a single mental drop, in my opinion.
It'd be interesting to see what approach you guys think you're gonna take with your like whichever team you end up picking up. Are you gonna look for just like individual players? Are you gonna focus more on kind of leveling them up as players, or are you gonna focus on trying to nail every fundamental and level them up as a team in general? Like, what are you guys gonna focus on, like the really micro of each individual player or the heavy macro? Or are you gonna go 50-50? Like, what's your like
I know
anticipation for each team? We had a
I
little
know
bit of
that
a discussion about this before, Careless, but
right. I'm going to be taking a little bit of an unconventional approach, and I don't really want to leak it. There's specific, there's macro fundamentals. It's like, let's get our pathing right. Let's make sure we're stacked up for rotations and things like that. And you can drill those kinds of things. You can scrim with focus on those kinds of things. It's not really what I'm going to be focusing on when I'm coaching the team that I end up, working with. I'm going to be doing something a little bit unconventional to kind of see what kind of impact it has in a tournament like this, but no leaks. Sorry.
I'm gonna go the same route I usually always do, and it's building camaraderie and teamwork, team bonding, really bringing them close together immediately, and you generally see impact when you level up the team all together, teach them heavy macro fundamentals, and nitpick at the micros here and there, but generally when you heavily lean on macro, the team generally plays a lot better together, and you're going to get good results when you bring low level SRs and you teach them macro to the standards of a much higher SR. They generally end up performing as such.
What about you, Sama? What's your no leaks plan though?
I mean, to be fair, my thought was originally just to like work on each player one to one more than like work on them as a team, just and then kind of nail on what they aren't great at rather than looking like really in depth like I would with higher SR teams. Because taking the time to explain all of the theory behind stuff, kind of for me, especially if I was to go for like a really energetic team, that feels like something that's not worthwhile. So for me, it was like focusing on them on a individual level and like kind of as ranked warriors rather than as a team. Try and just like improve on them one to one before I do anything like hard going into theory and talking about stuff like that.
I think one of the big things that's going to be really interesting to me is to see how you guys take on things change. Metal's always said, Metal says he wants to build camaraderie. Sama wants to kind of do the opposite, focus on the individuals. I think a big thing is going to be, actually looking at the team and see, who's the carries on that team, who do they want to play for, who's the best for them, because you're going to have to change your style around that. I remember last tournament when I went into Azure Eagles, I was ready to just go full macro, etc. But I ended up realizing kind of the supports were really the mental and the mechanical core of the team. So I kind of put a lot of my effort into making sure that they were able to shine, whether it was through pathing or just one-on-ones with them. By the end of the tournament, I think everyone else on the team was, around 3.6-ish. Meanwhile, the supports had hit GM.
That's
Yeah,
the
it'd be
same kind of.
interesting to
Go
see.
ahead.
It'd be interesting to see how high some of these players might climb as well. I mean, what is it, 6 weeks? It's quite a lot. Like to hard grind with players, even if it's just 1 or 2 sessions. Like, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if they like, level up their scrim bracket, like how
Just
they search for scrims, or level up just like,
just
you know.
hard grind your hit scan to 4.4 in that time.
I think when you teach a team macro and you lean heavily into it, your tanks become significantly better. Both of my tanks ended up hitting 4K plus. Actually, both of them hit top 500 after that, which it really just came from the knowledge and the background of getting all that macro, and just
there's
they
the
incredibly coachable too. So it was a wonderful experience with that.
there's the sum of all parts argument, right? And while and to lean towards like Sama's strategy, the uh, the development of the individuals has value and can have multiplicative value into like that sum of all of the parts, because you put them all together and then they're multiplied by being on a team. It can have an exceptional impact. It's something we definitely learned in collegiate, that I learned specifically in coaching collegiate, because there's always mixed SR rosters. Not always, like you have those top schools that are, literally pushing contenders players into the collegiate scene, but a lot of the other teams are dealing with mixed rosters, and getting that 3.6 up to 4K, that can be a big difference. But at the same time, sometimes that player that's 3.6, and this happened at Mizzou, isn't the weak link on the team. Like their SR means very little, and they're actually performing. They're punching way above their weight, and over focusing on a player whose numbers don't necessarily meet your standards can actually be a mistake. And that's where some of that, either just balancing and focusing on macro a little bit more, or focusing entirely on macro, especially in a smaller time frame of like a focused development time frame, can really be beneficial.
Because it's ultimately, I mean, you're also impacting their decision making, and it's also incredibly important because if everybody understands the fundamental macro concepts, a lot of them will end up making better decisions overall.
Also learned like with a lot of these teams as well, especially when I was working with like one trick teams in kind of contenders, trials, contenders, that like teaching micro as well also is, especially if they're kind of you stick to strengths, you can almost coach them to play whatever style you want as long as you tell them how the positives and negatives of each style, and they can make their own decisions as well. Like especially with you guys obviously do a lot of like teaching big in unis as well, like working for unis. Like how do you think you implement? Do you tend to implement a lot of your like teaching styles, or do you just kind of let things happen when you teach?
I think every coach has a vision of how the game should be played, and that definitely translates into an aggressive play style, a defensive reactive play style, a counter investing play style. Like there's a lot of ways to play the game that can all be right. So yes, I teach all of the teams I teach to play the way I envision the game should be played. Um, which in my case is it's very aggressive, proactive. It's all about a high pace. You're getting that comms check and everything just out of the way immediately, getting set up so that the moment an enemy is taking space, they're under pressure. There's just no free time for the enemy. That's a big part of how I teach the game. And you see other
Secrets.
teams. No, it's not secret. You see a lot of teams in Owl that are actually, it's probably like 30% of the teams in Owl that are very counterplay focused. They'll literally wait for the enemy team to make an investment and then screw up how they made that investment. And, counterplay, counter dive, um, bait out, and kite engagements and things like that. And that's something we've learned all the way back from goats, and even the dive metas before that. It can be extremely effective. It's just you hit this. Oh,
Oh,
welcome. You hit this. Diminished return in like effort for that kind of play style, I believe, where it becomes exceptionally difficult to counterplay properly rather than just being the one to go first.
I do believe in playing into the team's strengths too. With the certain amount of time that we have with the teams, it's hard to break a player down and rebuild them up and teach them entirely new characters. Where, for example, I had a one trick Genji on my last coaching class team, and instead of breaking him down and expanding his mind, which I did a lot of that, I had to I had to make him play a lot of different stuff still, but I still like to play into his strengths. So that's why when double bubble was becoming prevalent, I just added it was a cyber dive double bubble, and they played it really well, leaned heavily in alt rotations, and the team took off. I mean, they took off in SR with that comp. That was one of their main comps. So I do believe playing into strengths is pretty important with the time that we have.
It is. It is. And it's definitely, and not even just hero strengths, but like some always bring up like playstyle strengths. Is this already a
Right.
naturally slow team? Is this already a hyper aggressive team? How can we leverage that? How can we make them do that properly and make sure that their tempo is actually in line with how the individuals are trying to play?
It's really interesting to hear all your guys' thoughts on how you plan on going into this. But I think let's stop beating around the bush right now. We saw all four teams play last night, and I think they all played pretty good Overwatch, especially for the rank that we saw. What are your thoughts on all the teams? I'm curious to hear.
I really like the ND, non dismissed, and C96, not just because they were the first match and then like first impressions and stuff like that, but the energies, and they have two very distinct different types of energy. They have C96 is super hyped and energetic, but not dismissed is very focused and like performance or execution oriented. And it's interesting to see those two mentalities go up against each other because it's not necessarily polar opposites. They both have energy, but it's like where that energy is dedicated. There's a morale focus and execution focus.
Very true. Yeah. I think I was going over the game footage, and I was writing a good and a bad for each team. And for every single team, I pretty much explored that they all made mistakes in every single category. So they were bad at almost everything, but they did a lot of great things, right? So it's funny. It's really just comes down to inconsistency, and changing that will change a lot of these teams. They need to understand where they're going wrong, and we as coaches can create that consistency. And I think these teams can be very scary once we do that.
Hama? Alrighty, Sama doesn't seem.
Sorry.
Oh, he's here now.
I didn't get to see much of the second game. From what I did see, though, is like a lot of like promising things. But personally, I'm a big fan of the hype energy that teams like C96 were bringing, um, and Matadors when they were playing. That was definitely a good one to sit in comms for. Both teams are they're kind of almost lacking in fundamentals, but the energy brings it up to a level where it doesn't really matter. And that's the team I've always enjoyed working with. Is you can always coach people to play the game, but you can't coach an attitude, or you can't coach how to play under pressure. And the two teams that won yesterday, they did show that they can play under pressure. Um, that's something an old tennis coach used to teach me, was you can't coach pressure. So teams that play well under pressure are always a great showing for me, both kind of team strength as well as kind of coachability as well.
I think a big thing that I personally noticed a lot from yesterday was just the team's abilities to play to their own strengths. I felt like there were some things that a lot of teams were limiting themselves on. For me, like C96, in my opinion, they're the ones who had their strengths most on lock. One thing that I just kept hearing between rounds was like, let's raise the tempo. Let's go faster. And I think that's exactly what they want to do. They're a very hype team. They have that hype energy. High tempo is exactly what they want to do. Meanwhile, ND Red, it felt like they were trying to raise the tempo and stuff when, to me, they didn't appear to be this high tempo team. To me, they looked almost to be a slightly slower tempo. They had found their tempo and they just like to play for setups. And every time that they actually sat there and really did play for their setups and got them off, they looked like a really scary team. Matadors, on the other hand, it's funny because like in the matches, the teams actually had opposite issues. So like C96 and ND Red had different tempo problems. Matadors and Louisiana Purchase, it's different for them because it felt like they were almost playing for the wrong people. Matadors had a really standout main tank in my opinion. He was really strong, and it felt like they were forcing him a lot to play for these more passive playstyles. Letting the DPS carry. But anytime that he really got to pop off, things looked good. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Louisiana Purchase, whenever they were like playing for their Rhine, it felt like their off tank and DPS, who I really thought were the stars of the show there, they couldn't do exactly what they wanted to do. There weren't enough free resources. Like that's personally what I saw for like playing to their strengths. Like you guys personally, what would be like one tip you would give to a certain team, or all of them if you want to?
And it all starts with kind of like I and Metal both said earlier, like identifying what that strength is. And you mentioned some really solid ones there. It's like Vo was a DPS that was just popping off consistently throughout their entire match, right? And saying make him happen, right? Make her happen, whichever, I forget which, but like make their play happen. Whatever you got to do. If you got to, guardian angel and jump up in front of the sleep dart so they get to keep shooting, like just make it happen. Those kinds of things are really, really powerful when you have somebody that can just consistently carry.
I think for me personally, to offer a hint of um, kind of what teams would improve on, all of them need to work on what tempo is, like how to tempo a fight in terms of you need to hit a spot and you need to carry on from that spot and not just kind of permanently press the W key as you start to set up a fight, because that's how you get the quote unquote out tempoing. That's where I think we saw a lot of the hype teams go wrong, is they're getting quote unquote out tempoed by the teams that were playing a bit slower and were less kind of over energetic. So that's definitely something for all the teams to improve on, is just working on how you tempo your style of play.
Right. I think if you're going to go high tempo, why not just add like a Lucio Mora Doom, Reap or something like that, right? Go full Lambo. If that's your tempo, then smack that tempo on it and get going. Ride that Ferrari out the door, right? So it really just depends. They do need to understand tempo. Absolutely, I completely agree. And that brings more of the consistency issues. Just making sure you have the right tempo, understanding if you're playing specific DPS that you need to slow it down and play for the long game. A lot of the maze may play across the board. The walls weren't great. They weren't having that great of a time. So I think upping the May play across almost every team that we saw could really help in understanding your tempo with May, how it's played. Is going to be a big up for these teams. That's why I believe that the macro fundamentals for all these teams and really telling them and showing them what their job is for each individual players. These teams are going to take off.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really nice to hear all your guys' insights on the teams. Meanwhile, it looks like we got our first match ready, so let's have Prod take a 3-minute break and start getting ready to get in these matches. See how these teams apply what we've told them.
Excited to see them play.
Absolutely.
As am I.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Coaching Clash Winners Finals for Altiora. My name is Entropy. I'm going to be your color caster for tonight, and I'm joined alongside Armin, who's going to be your play-by-play. How are you doing tonight, Armin?
I'm hanging in there, just excited to watch some excellent matches here. Excited to see the winners finals here between C96 and Louisiana Purchase. So
I'm looking forward to a great match. I'm personally coming into the tournament myself a bit late, so I'm not familiar with the teams. My hopes are high. I've heard a lot of great things so far tonight. The series is going to be 1st to 3, and our first map is going to be the Halloween version of Hollywood.
Halloween Hollywood. Gotta love it.
Typically, you don't see the the event maps be played, so I'm quite interested. I don't think I've actually seen Halloween Hollywood, and probably a good couple of years because I don't typically play quick play or competitive during the event seasons. I was just playing mostly Junkenstein's Revenge, so I've actually never seen Eichenwald Halloween before. And no, I have. That was like 3 years ago, I think, or at least.
They're excellent, but sometimes I find the visibility is a little bit tough, especially with some of the skins. So but it's always good fun playing on the Halloween maps for sure, for sure.
It's a nice change of pace. My personal biggest problem comes with some of the minor changes they make to like map geometry. Like there's one spot on Eichenwald 2nd where normally you'd be able to boot people off, but there's like a fence there now, so you can't actually get that boop off in that quite common space where you can get those like boops. And so it's kind of frustrating. But apart from that, what can you do?
For sure, for sure. Reddit Lucio is everywhere, mauled as soon as Halloween comes around.
Oh man, it looks like actually no, we got debated. First map is not going to be Halloween Hollywood. It's actually going to be Busan, or maybe it's not.
Been,
we might get double
once
debated
again. Let me quick message with a couple of people on production here and see what is going on with the map here.
Just want to say we've got great production. I love them, but map selection is also confusing me because I don't know what the map pool is.
For sure, for sure. I looked over the information. We may be going to Nepal instead. Nepal is always a very fun map. Lots of different comps come out, but if I know anything about Plat, we're going to see a lot of brawl coming out on Nepal.
We have quote in chat from a member of Louisiana. It's Nepal, I think, but I'll take Busan.
Busan, it's always a little bit of a fun map. Sometimes, you go into comps get a little bit confusing. Trying to figure out what tanks to play, what DPS to play. For some reason in my games, Nepal always devolves into Hog Zarya. So,
sorry to bait the stream twice in a row, but we are not on Hollywood Halloween, nor on Busan. We are going to Nepal for our first map, specifically Sanctum. Sanctum is we mentioned Reddit Lucios, and I mean, hey, this is where if you're gonna run a Lucio in Nepal, it's usually you're gonna find it either here or maybe on Village if you're running a brawl comp, but specifically on Sanctum, I'd be surprised if actually they don't run a Lucio. But there's a ton of comps that you could do that don't involve Lucio as well, so we'll see in a hot second. Let's see what they're running. And it looks like we got a Lucio at least one on one side.
Yeah, it looks like they're running maybe something of a 6-man dive-esque double bubble variant here. It'll be interesting to see how the Echo ends up getting some support. I wonder if Anna's going to have to start diverting some of her resources, and that might make it a little bit tough for Monkey going into this.
Typically, the double bubble is quite an interesting composition to run, especially on Sanctum. Typically, I see like more of a bunker kind of style rather than just dive, but that's just my personal experience. Both teams are going to roll up for first fight here. Let's see how they handle things.
Absolutely. Looks like we get a little bit of a brawl with the Monkeys and Zarya just staring each other down. Tracers in the background exchanging blows. Looks like we have Habutai going back with the team. Quintessence going up and getting a dirty one clip onto Habutai there. Looks like we are going to see C96 taking that as liberty to go in for brawl, but Kineko takes a hefty anti-nade. He ends up getting a support, though, hiding, avoiding just that little bit of damage. Cyberfish ends up taking out Miko for the fight. Kineko goes down, and it looks like this is going to end up flipping in the favor of Louisiana Purchase here.
Louisiana just got those two crucial picks, and they were able to force the main tank of C9 into a position where he couldn't really do anything. He was forced to hide, or else he would just die immediately with the anti-nade. So they were just able to establish a much more of a presence on like the mid of the map and on point, which allowed them to take quite easy control so far. And now they're already back into the heat of things.
Absolutely, we see Quintessence take a lot of pressure. A big anti-nade coming out. Cyberfish goes down to Kineko. Dirty Shinso takes out Quintessence, and it looks like C96 end up establishing... a big nano coming out onto Monkey there, pressuring Michello down. Mello goes down. And it looks like that might be just enough for C96 to establish a little bit of point control here. Cristado sitting on point. Looks like he ends up jumping in and getting taken out.
They really hesitated the point control here, so it's going to climb all the way up to 50%. They probably could have gotten, probably could have capped it at maybe like around 40. They took a long time to actually cap the objective, but taking their sweet time. They want to make sure they do things right here. Ults coming online for both teams. This next fight could be either quite dirty with everyone pressing Q at the same time, or it could just be a quick and dry fight with one team uses their ults wisely.
Absolutely. It looks like we're going to see Tracer pulses coming out from both sides. Coming out from Habutai. We might see a pulse coming out from Shota Quintessence. Quintessence taking a lot of pressure there. Cyberfish about half. Shota throwing down a grab. We end up seeing a big anti. Quintessence coming in with a big triple pulse. But Miko takes down Mello. Cyberfish ends up taking down the Bob. Looks like we're currently even on point. Kineko taking out Quintessence. Very dirty fight going on point here. Habutai getting a ton of poke in. Shota taking out Miko. Kineko brawling on point, trying to maintain. Shota goes down, but Cyberfish takes out Kineko, and it's just Habutai on point left, and the point flips in the favor of Luigi and a purchase.
The big crucial mistake there for C9 was Habutai tried to yeet in the pulse bomb to maybe find a kill or two, but it connected with nothing because they didn't combo the grab. Whereas Luigiana, Shota threw in his grab, collecting 3, I believe it was, members, and Quintessence follows it up once the resources have been expended to try and protect them. Connects the pulse bomb, finds 3 members, and wins the fight pretty easily. And here comes the grab from Miko.
Yeah, but we see Michello go down to Kineko there. We see a big copy come out from Cyberfish, but it looks like half his team is already down to the Zarya. He ends up picking Avian, but Kineko goes in and takes down Cristado. It's just a Soul Echo at this point. Copied, trying to mess some things up, make things dirty. Takes out Dirty Shinso, but it looks like C9 are going to be able to establish dominance there, despite Cyberfish's best efforts with the copy.
Taking it back with 50% and counting, but Luigiana has 90% of progress on this point, so 1 fight territory for them. They're only going to have a Primal and a Rally to work with, whereas C9 Habutai has a Pulse, and they have the Nano on their side as well. They're going to be engaging with this Rally, though, so see how they approach this. Pulse Bomb actually doesn't manage to find one.
Absolutely. A critical pick onto the Ana there. Looks like the fight's getting very dirty. We see a Nano coming out onto Kineko. He's just walking in there, getting a ton of cleave in, but it looks like C96 or Luigi and a Purchase are going to end up backing up there, resetting and trying to find a little bit more success in a different fight.
85% and counting. Now things are in 1 fight territory for C9. Things are getting a little dangerous now.
So we see a big primal coming out from Casado, but he ends up getting slept. We see a little bit of a Tracer duel going on point there. Luigiana going to try and get some point control here. Touch. Kineko getting a big pick onto Mello. Going in there with a big primal, trying to mess things up. Absolutely. Habutai coming in and taking out Quintessence here. Looks like we have a little bit of a brawl going on point. Shota throwing down his grab, but is it going to be enough? Doesn't look like it. C96 still maintaining point control here. Cristado, low HP, but still trying to live in his bubble. Looks like he goes down to Kineko. Kineko gets a 2-piece. Michello goes down. Dirty Shinso. And it looks like this is going to end up flipping it back in the favor of C96. Overtime now. We'll see if Luigiana are able to touch, and they are not. Cementing this first round in favor of C96.
That was great at the end there. Despite the fact that Luigiana flipped it over just for a brief second, they just didn't have enough resources. And that was a huge bubble from Kineko when they tried to go for the YOLO grab at the end. It cut off everyone's line of sight of the grab, so no follow-up could even have been established if anyone was able to follow up there. Next map is going to be Village. So typically we're going to see Brawl, and yep, both teams are running the Brawl with the locking the Reinhardt. One team? C9 has decided to go with the Zarya here. And it looks like Luigiana is going to run the D.Va. Both teams are mirroring the supports. So we'll see how the Zarya and the D.Va fare up against one another. But typically the D.Va on paper is actually the off tank you want in a composition like this.
Absolutely. It looks like we see a teleporter coming out from both sides, establishing an early brawl on point. Mirror walls come out. Looks like Quintessence is able to get two-piece onto Avian, Shinzo, Habutai, and it looks like Quintessence just built his beam faster and ends up taking a win for this first fight, establishing Luigiana's dominance on this first critical fight.
That is just quite clearly a Quintessence diff. His turrets killed 4 people and he cleaned up the 5th on his own. Like, you just looking at the ult charge difference between the two Symmetras, that tells you everything you need to know. Quintessence already effectively has his wall, and Habutai is only at 35% because that was such a quick and easy fight. But now here they come back for attempt number 2.
Absolutely. We see C9 trying to take this high ground, maybe get a little bit of spam in there. It's going to be interesting to see how they go in and deal with those turrets. Looks like their Reinhardt's already taking a big wall coming out from Quintessence there. 2 Mei walls coming out from both sides. We see Immort coming out from the side of C9-6. That's going to be critical in this fight. Goes down to Shota. Looks like Luigiana are going to have just a little bit more resources, but Kiniko goes in with a big shatter. Habutai taking 2. Cristado going down. Michello. Quintessence going down as well, and it looks like C9-6 taking out 4 in this fight are going to be able to establish dominance on point here.
And that was, I mean, pretty clean and cut. You get the big slam and the sim just follows up with the damage. So now things are looking good for C9. The ults are kind of even. But again, like, it's really hard because the Zarya doesn't offer as much consistent heal as the D.Va does with her Matrix, and D.Va has a bit more mobility. So if you wall up a D.Va, she can just fly around it typically. So it's actually kind of hard. You might think it'd be easier just to run the Zarya for haha more damage, but people underestimate how much D.Va's damage, like how much damage, D.Va can do up close. And here they come.
So we see a big TP coming out on point, window going down. We see a wall coming out from Sim. Immort's going left and right. Mayult coming out. Mirror Mayult's coming out, trying to freeze everybody. It looks like Mayult was eaten by the D.Va. D.Va bomb comes out. 5-5! Oh my lord, Shota coming in there, taking 5, taking some ankles, and
6
winning the
kills.
fight.
Shota just got 6 kills and more manslaughter than the 3rd impact. Jesus Christ. And yeah, that's just gonna... I have no words. That really just does speak for itself. Miko finally has his grab for the side of C9. So Shota also made a big play early on and ate Zoe's Blizzard, which actually helped a lot in the early of that fight. So Miko's gonna have to look for a big grab, but a nice icicle connects onto the face of Dirty Shin Snow.
It's a little bit tough losing that Lucio before the fight, but it's not the most critical thing. It looks like a big wall coming out from the side of Luigiana. It doesn't look like it quite finds it. It ends up finding Zoe with the fire strike there, forcing C9 to just go back, rethink their plan.
85% and counting. C9 has ults to work with, but they have to go if they want to have any chance of touching. They have the TP, so even though they were a little late on the side to rotation, they're still going to TP back to point in time. Grab comes out,
big
here we
beat
go.
coming out. Grab coming out. We see Window coming out as well. Mei gets a big freeze onto Miko. Michello taking out Miko there. A big shatter coming out from the side of Kiniko. Throws in the fire strike. Habutai ends up getting a pick on Michello. Very dirty fight, but it looks like it's slightly favoring C9-6 here. Habutai on 3rd beam is getting a ton of cleave in. A big Mei wall coming out, making this fight very dirty. Miko comes back on the ball. Zoe takes out Mello. We see a big D.Va bomb coming up from Shota. Doesn't find anything though. Habutai still just being a menace on point. Shota getting demeched. Looks like C9-6 might just be able, and they establish control of this point here. It's going to be interesting to see how the ball factors into this comp though.
They're going to have to manage these fights very carefully, especially because they're down on the ult economy too. They're only going to have a Blizzard to work with coming up soon, where Cyberfish already has his, and Cristado is about to have a Shatter. They're also about to have their own Beats and Window on the side of Luigiana, and here they come already. They're looking to make this quick and fast.
Absolutely, you know, looks like C9-6 might be able to find something with that advantage point control. Miko already back to the fight, coming back on D.Va instead of Zarya. We see a wall coming out, but it doesn't connect with anybody. Window coming out from the side of... Mayo coming out, as well as Beat. Looks like they're using everything to try and reclaim this fight here. Kiniko ends up getting frozen. Habutai going down to Cyberfish there. It's a clean icicle. Shota taking Miko out of mech. Quintessence taking Zoe. Big shatter coming out from Cristado, and it looks like Luigiana reestablished point control here. Are they going to be able to touch? And it doesn't look like it's cementing this point in the favor of Luigiana Purchase.
And what an absolutely close round that was. If I had to pick a player of the round, it's got to be Either the sim or Shode. Because that bomb placement was insane. I don't know like exactly where that bomb got placed because we were like flying overhead and we can't see outlines, but man killed 5 people with 1 bomb. That's, you gotta feel pretty good about that. But
5
anyway,
people with
moving
1
on.
bomb. Went to collect some ankles after the fact to get the 6K. Add a little bit of salt to the wound.
Like, that's getting clipped on his Twitch, and he's sending that one to Freshness. And on round 3, we're going to... I forgot what round. The Shrine. It's called Shrine. I can never remember these. Looks like both teams are going to be running... Actually, never mind. All right. Let me collect myself. I'm sorry here. Luigiana is running the Rhine Diva. Once again, sticking to what works. They're running the same comp, whereas C9's going to be swapping it up to a double bubble with a McCree, Tracer, Brigitte, and Ana, respectively.
Sweet. So it looks like Luigiana were able to establish a little bit of point control here. We see Kiniko setting up on an off angle, just trying to get a little bit of cleave in. Ends up getting engaged by the main tanks there. Kree trying to set up, just get a little bit of poke in here too. A little bit of poke going back and forth. Looks like C96 are just going to have to cede point control here and let Luigiana capture the point here. Quintessence takes out Kiniko there, and that looks like that might just be enough to stifle C96's push even that little bit more. We see a big anti coming out, taking out Mello, but Lucio not very important to the comp.
Lucio is an incredibly important pick to the comp, actually, but because they already have point pressure, they don't really need to go anywhere, so it's not going to matter right now. And their Lucio Mello's already back with this. Clearly, the man has been watching some Reddit rollouts. Kiniko's back, and they're still going to be taking a 6v6 now, 21% and counting.
Absolutely. We see Shota maybe
Zo on the
getting a little bit
flank!
Ooh, Zo taking out a big pick onto Quintessence there. Is that going to be enough to give C96 an opening to get into the fight? Looks like we see Kiniko in there getting a ton of cleave, but he's getting beamed down by a sim turnip. He's half HP as to go. Habutai taking a big pick on a Cristado. Kiniko getting in there and taking out Michello. Zo taking out Mello. Habutai taking Shota out of mech. Looks like that's going to be enough to flip the point.
C9 able to collect it in the end, expending both of their DPS ults, which is the best situation they probably could have asked for when it comes to their ult economy, in terms of what else you need to use. 46% for Luigiana, 10% accounting for C9. But a lot of ults online for Luigiana. They're about to have 6 actually in the mid fight of this one, so we're going to see what they're going to decide to do here.
We see a nano coming out onto Kiniko, but a big shatter comes out. Immort going in, charging him in there. Simwall coming out, making it a little bit messy. We see a grab coming out, a beat coming out, a mail coming out. Miko maybe going down to this mail, manages to get a bubble off. Mello taking out Avian. That's going to be the sustain for C96 here. Is this going to be messy enough? Quintessence taking out Miko. Dirty Shinso going down, and that's going to be a flip for Luigiana here.
Not quite. Kiniko pops Primal, and Habutai is still alive and in there trying to stall for as long as they can. Cristado finally eliminates him, and it's just Habutai to stall it. They're going to actually get more percentage overall in the end, so that's probably the best case scenario you could have asked for in a fight like that.
Looks like the fight ended up drawing out a little bit longer, but it didn't look like it was quite enough for them to get much of a sizable advantage here. See, we've got a window coming out, window and bomb coming out on the side of Luigiana here. Ooh, we see an early rally coming to the fight, trying to get some pre-armor there. Wonder what Habutai is going to end up going in and doing with that bomb here. We just see a little bit of poke coming out from both sides. Cristado doing an excellent job of maybe shielding his DPS on those off angles. Getting a little bit of cleave in off Monkey. Window comes out, forcing Zo on the Kree to go maybe take an off angle. They end up forcing out Immort as well there. Big shatter coming out from Cristado, getting a big charge in, comboing it with that Mei wall, taking out Miko initially. Are we going to see Kiniko follow? We see Kiniko follow. Zo taking a ton of pressure on the off angle there. Ooh, Habutai and Shinzo going down. Mello dropping the beat, seemingly to throw some insult to injury, cementing this first map in C9 or in Luigiana's favor.
Luigiana making quite the turnaround from the first round, where they got flipped around by C9 on the first one. And yeah, let's see this Devon. I want to see this. This is because I actually wasn't able to see the angle that this was in. Did the wall run out? Everyone was frozen in the blizzard, so they couldn't run away, and he collects the final member and gets himself a 6K. That's one of the most satisfying plays I've quite seen in a while. That was good. But anyway, first map going over to Luigiana, making the series 1-0 in their favor.
Absolutely. It looks like next map we are going into Hollywood now. It'll be interesting to see what comps we see coming out on Hollywood there as well.
But will it
Yeah,
be the Halloween version?
that
That's
is
my
the
question.
We'll see. We'll see. We might possibly see the Halloween version. And well, it might be the bane of my existence when I'm trying to play. It certainly is fun to watch. A little bit sad that we don't have skins enabled, so we can't see all of the fun Halloween skins. Simply the best skins in the game, I might add. You know, Dr. Junkenstein coming out. You see the Pumpkinhead Reaper skin. All excellent skins, and in my opinion, the best in the game.
I'll let you have that opinion. I was gonna hit you with a hot take, but I'll let you just have that one for now.
A hot take? How hot of a take are we talking?
Listen, the best skins in this game are usually the anniversary ones.
The anniversary.
I'm just gonna say it, or the archives ones,
I might be able to agree with some archives. Maybe not this year's archives. I didn't.
Whoa, hang on. What's wrong with the classic like really? I was trying to say old school, but that's not even old school. That's like historical skins.
Ancient.
Ancient. Okay, no, ancient's a little older than that. I don't know. We can debate terminology all we want, but all I know is hybrid is the mode of the name. Is the mode of the game of the map that we're playing. I don't know anymore. We're going to Hollywood, not Halloween version. So if any of you were excited to see that, I am terribly sorry, but I'm just sorry that we don't have to play. No, that we aren't going to get to play King's Row, because that is the best hybrid map. And
It truly is.
anything else just won't do. It just won't do.
Absolutely. You know, I think if you know, the Plat Overwatch community has anything to say, King's Row is the best hybrid. Lijiang is the best control. I don't think we're changing anybody's minds there.
True. I've only ever met one person in my life that doesn't like King's Row, and I asked them why, and they said, well, it's a bad Doomfist map, and they're a Doomfist one trick. So I went, fair enough. That's it. That's the only person I know who doesn't like King's Row. Everyone else loves it. So if you're a Doom player, I guess you don't like it. But you're also a Doomfist main. Sorry. I'm a Genji main. If you want to clap back at me on Twitter, my Twitter handle is probably somewhere you can find. Anyway.
It's okay. Doomfist mains, Genji mains, both equally unimportant. Oh.
POV, you're a Genji player and you haven't been happy since 2016.
Oh, you guys got the double shield meta where Genji
That was a week. That was
viable.
1 week. That was 1 week, bro.
Hog was viable for a week too, you know.
But it's Roadhog, man.
I guess that's a fair point. Looks like we come into First Point Hollywood here. Looks like we've got C96 on the defense here. It'll be interesting to see what comps we see coming out here. Are we going to see the full brawl once again, or are we going to see maybe a mix of some double bubble in there, or maybe they'll shock us and pull out some ball comps as well?
Typically, you see the double bubble maybe on the offense and the defense, or you could see a brawl. You do have some options on Hollywood, but if it were me, I would personally favor the double bubble, especially if you're going to plan on rolling through point 2 as well. And we don't actually see any of that, so disregard that. We've got a Winston D.Va dive on the side of... My brain is dying. On the side of Luigiana. And on C9, we are running a Rein Zarya brawl. Really committed to this. With an Ashe May.
Absolutely.
I've not seen an Ashe May before.
It's very interesting watching some of these games, getting to see new comps that you might not see in combination. Seeing Hanzo Echo coming out as well. We saw the Hanzo Echo come out on the side of Luigiana last night. Quintessence putting a lot of work in on that Hanzo, as well as Cyberfish just going in and assassinating on the Echo. So it'll be interesting to see how C9 handles it with the brawl.
They are actually going to run the double bubble, to my dismay. As we could see Quintessence that was locking the legs at the very start there, and I was convinced he might actually run with it, but it seems he's going to stick on the Hanzo for now. Both kind of just rolling up to the choke, and Winston's going to engage right away.
Absolutely. We see big mines coming out on Miko. Cyberfish just assassinating Miko right off the bat. Kiniko going down to Cyberfish as well. That's the tank line down on the side of C96. Are we going to see a big anti coming out? Huge. We see Zoe getting very low, but not quite going down. Avian able to heal Zoe up there. Cyberfish going in and just assassinating more and more. Just so quick on the side of Luigiana here. The DPS throwing so much cleave in, and Cristado being able to go in and harass, force positioning mistakes. Excellent double bubble play there.
5.5 minutes for Louisiana to meander this cart over and around second point here. So they can kind of just take their time here. Maybe take a dry fight, build some ults, get some ults out. But there's no really ults on the side of C9, except for Habitai. Hit a nice shot at the end of their push there, and they're just going to roll right in. They just don't care. They're going in.
Absolutely. We see Avian go down to Cyberfish. Kiniko taking down Michello. That's sustained down from both sides, but Quintessence ends up going down on the side of Louisiana. But then we see Cristado clap back, taking out Kiniko, Cyberfish taking out Zoe. Habutai taking out Cyberfish. Very messy fight here. Trades coming out on both sides, but it seems that this is slightly favored Louisiana here, getting a big res off onto Cyberfish and continuing to harass the retreating C96.
Their aggression got the better of them as they tried to go in there, and they just kind of paid for it. Granted, they didn't dive into a Mei, I guess, so things could have been better. Louisiana's gonna come up on 5, almost 6 ults. Shoda trying to farm up his grab as fast as he can. He's actually probably going to get it in the mid-fight, so let's just go with 6 ults. The entirety of C9 looking to take this high ground. They only have Blizzard and maybe Shattering Window to work with. Beat to counter something, but there's so many options. Cyberfish goes in and takes down Zoe already.
We see Michello go down to Habutai, but Zoe going down to Cyberfish. We see a big res coming out from Mello. Ults coming out from Louisiana here. A lot of ults. We're going to see Cristado connecting onto Habutai. Cyberfish taking a big slam onto Kiniko and Miko. Quintessence taking out Shinso, and it looks like this fight will be over with 4 ults expended on the side of Louisiana.
Louisiana making it look quick and easy, and they still have the Grab Dragon combo to either take second guaranteed or make their lives pretty easy going into the last point. C9 with their ulti coming wants to look for a last minute touch, but the body block's there. But Miko actually manages to get the touch.
Shinso going down to Quintessence, but they're already in the fight. Cristado taking down Avian, though. That's going to be a big pick. Quintessence taking out Kiniko. That's a tank line going down. And C96 just aren't quite able to maintain this hold.
Well, now, finally, C9 coming up with ults, and oh, Miko's going to get staggered. Oh, no, you hate to see it. That being said, though, ignoring the stagger, C9 is going to come up with ults, potential answers to the question of can they finally stop this payload from moving forward. 4.5 minutes, and that's a lot of time to just get this car around a couple of other corners and down like this runway here. No ults except for a nano for Louisiana, so we're gonna have to see how they approach things. Kiniko really wants to push forward and stop the momentum when he can.
Absolutely. We see Kiniko going forward, going to stop the cart. We see a wall coming out, Mayult coming out. Finally, C9 decided to start expending his mults. Kiniko taking down Shoda and Michello, as well as Cristado going down to Shinso. Zoe taking out Quintessence, or Cyberfish. And that finishes out the fight. Very quick, lightning fast fight coming out from the side of C9 there with 1 ultimate expended.
And that's the best case scenario you could have ever asked for if you're on C9 was, oh my god, what? Kiniko lost his shadow. They're already taking this fight much faster than I thought. Miko finds a bomb and a Shoda. So that's going to slow them down here, but... Oh no, they're going to get the res, so they're going to just go right back into this.
Absolutely. You know, we see the Nano coming out onto Cristado, but he wasn't quite able to do anything with it. Michello, maybe a little bit quick on the response there. Cristado jumping in once again, taking a ton of harass, a ton of spam, going down to quarter HP, but he manages to go back and get healed up here. We see a very Miko getting slept. We're going to defend them. Cyberfish going in, building ult. Are we going to see a big copy coming out in the fight here? Cristado going in, once again harassing the backline. Avian backing up, throwing down window. Grab coming out, Grab Dragons coming out. Zoe taking out Cristado. Grab Dragons doesn't quite manage to find anybody, but Habutai ends up taking Cyberfish out of copy there. Mello ends up popping the Mercy ult. And looks like Louisiana here backing up.
A nice shot from Habutai.
And ult's coming out from all sides there.
What an absolute clown fiesta of ult economies on display there. Just every ult going in. Both teams desperate to try and find something with their ults. That being said, though, things are looking better. If you are C9, they have a Shatter again. Hopefully he doesn't get stunned this time. And they still have the Blizzard. The big slam, though. Oh, but the nade.
Mirror Slam, trading tanks there, but we see Habutai coming out with the ult on the side of C96. Doesn't quite catch anybody, but it looks like there's enough to delay Louisiana there. Louisiana tries to find something with wall. They don't manage to find anything. Zoe may be overextending a bit there, but he manages to get out safely due to the DM.
And And Luigiana is going to come back up to the front here quite quickly as C9 is on the back foot. But they're still right here and ready to take this fight.
We see a big nano coming out on the side of Luigiana. They're taking out Kiniko right away. But we see Cristado end up getting frozen, but doesn't seem to matter. Cristado going in on Miko. Cyberfish shaking out Shinso. And Luigiana are going to just get so many picks, take this fight, and confirm a little bit of cart progress. Zoe going back to spawn, trying to hide. Liv, Cristado walking up to the spawn door to assert dominance here.
With just under a minute and a half. Zoe is the only one with an ultimate for C9 to try and stop anything from happening. He's going to utilize the wall to his advantage and find Cyberfish, and that's an opening pick that they kind of need. Abutai finds the support, and that's a great pick to start with.
We saw a big shatter come out from Cristado, but there was no follow-up, and it looks like Kiniko managing to live due to some excellent healing there. Turns
Milo.
the fight.
Milo tried to C9 in the back. He was hiding. He actually gets out, surprisingly. That was a good ears or eyes from Habutai. He was able to spot him just as he was coming up behind to try and sneak the cap. Ooh, and I am waiting for an opportunity to make the C9 joke. I know, lazy and whatnot, but come on, it's obvious. I have to make the joke at some point if they do it. 1 minute remaining, though.
Absolutely. We see a wall come out from Luigiana, but it doesn't connect with anybody there. We see a window coming out from Avian here, forcing Luigiana to sit in that room and wait. But Zoe ends up getting a big pick onto Quintessence there. Kiniko going in for the shatter, finding a charge onto Cyberfish. And then we see Miko throwing the bomb in, doesn't connect with anybody. But it was enough to zone Luigiana back into the spawn and go back to the drawing board.
30 seconds remaining, and what was looking like a relatively easy push for Luigiana is now bringing him down to the wire. They have ults to work with, a couple, but also C9 has their beat, so they'll have a response to whatever they get hit with potentially as long as he doesn't Ajax it.
Absolutely, we would hate to see that, but we see a wall coming out once again, not quite connected with anybody.
Miko loses mech!
Miko loses mech. We see Quintessence throwing ult out. Immort coming out from the side of Luigiana. Window coming out from the side of Luigiana. Ooh, a big shatter coming out. Doesn't quite manage to get anybody. Cristado there. A bomb coming out. Mail coming out. Only connects with Kiniko. We see Luigiana getting picks here left and right. Immort coming out on Avian here. We see Mail coming out as in a last ditch effort to try and maybe turn the fight here. Is Mello going to go down? No. Shinzo goes in and gets stunned. Going low. Is he going to live? Avian getting picked by Cyberfish here. Lucio just on the cart.
This stall is insane. It's going to buy enough time for the rest of the tank line and for Zoe to find maybe something with a high noon. The lamp is very questionable, and it finds Michello. Habutai's in with a dive. He's not going to find anything except for maybe Quintessence. He's stalling as long as he can. Miko gets the D-Mech onto Shota. Habutai's found out, and the lamp comes out just in time to keep Miko up, and the Lucio is back in return now. Miko in the sky, and they're still stalling this somehow.
Absolutely, we see Lucio coming out on the cart. Miko there just surviving for so long thanks to Avian. Oh, we see the D-Mick coming down on the cart. Ball spinning to win. May in her ice block. Swing. A shatter comes out from Cristado there. Looks like that shatter and that beat are going to be enough to push that last little bit and cement a 3-point push with 0 minutes, 0 seconds on the side of Luigiana here.
They managed to actually whittle him down to overtime, which was looking a lot better than a potential 4-minute time bank and capping third point there. So that got pretty crazy at the end. C9 really brought it together. Weren't able to fully hold him in the end, but overtime is way better than anything over a minute, though, because that leaves you in a really unfortunate position where you have to cap with time or result in a draw or a potential loss. We'll see what the team's running in about 10 seconds here, but I'm expecting just some standard maybe double bubble or brawl.
Absolutely, and it was interesting to see just how good these teams were at stalling, specifically on the side of C96 there. We saw Shizno end up stalling for so long, giving the tank line enough time to get back on cart and try, and we saw Miko there with a valiant effort to try and hold on to cart with some support from Avian there in the back. An Immort coming out as well, so.
Looks like double bubble on the side of C9, and Ryan Sigma for Luigiana on this defense here.
Ryan Sigma with an echo.
It's very interesting thing. Relying on the double shield. I'm not going to say they're relying on a crutch here, but double shield. But perfectly respectable comp for the Hollywood defense here. Gates are opening, and this double bubble, we'll see how it handles with the Sigma and Rhine composition. They probably won't be expecting this if you are C9, especially with the Widow. It's going to be hard to find angles into the double shield. In fact, yeah, Zoe's going back to spawn immediately to go and swap to something.
It's a good choice there. A little bit tough when the Ashe just has a shield. Looks like we see a swap onto Hanzo here. Just a little bit of poke going back and forth in this fight. We see Kiniko engage onto the high ground there, walking straight into Rhine. Ends up finding Shota there. That's going to be big. Cyberfish getting anti. Is that going to be something that we can follow up on there? Kiniko just in there, ends up getting taken down to Shota after Mello ends up getting the res, but we see the DPS getting this high ground angle, just spamming into the backline. Are we going to find anything? Is Zoe going to find anything here? Doesn't look like investing bubble there. We see Habutai getting hard-pocketed there, managing to live. Ooh, Shota goes down once again. Cristado does manage to take down Zoe, but it looks like that gave enough time for the tanks to come back in. You see Habutai just getting so much poke in there.
Kiniko just kind of stabilizing the high ground, looking to go in again. He lost his life on that first fight because he didn't get the follow-up that his team, like, he thought he would just get in that first fight, but this time he's ready to go with Primal, knocking around the Baptiste, cleaned up by Habutai with a nice laser. Cyberfish finds Zoe in the backline, and Anna's getting harassed, actually, in the backline. Avian manages to stay alive, but it looks like the momentum is turning back into the favor of Luigi Anna so far. Cyberfish finding a kill on Miko, and that should secure their hold, but Kiniko finds a pick before he gets out.
Absolutely. Taking that Ashe is a pretty critical pick. They don't have a... Oh! Looks like Mello ends up using res, so it doesn't end up being too big of a deal. That might have been a good opportunity to engage there. We see a big nano coming out onto Kiniko here, but he takes so much pressure, so much poke, ends up going down to Michello there. We see Quintessence, or Cyberfish, coming out with a copy onto Monkey there. Ends up not quite being able to get the Primal out. Cristado throwing down a slam, doesn't connect with anybody. Getting a lot of cleave onto Shinso there, and it ends up working out. Habutai taking out Michello, Shota taking out Miko. Very scrappy fight here. Habutai ends up copying the Reinhardt. Ends up getting a slam out, only connects with the Ashe, but doesn't manage to find anything off that. Habutai still taking so much poke, gets a second shatter out, but doesn't connect with anything the second time. Still manages to take out Cristado there with the cleave he managed to pull out there. Avian coming back to life. This fight is just taking so long. The deaths are happening so slowly. Michello ends up going down with a big anti onto him. Bob coming out on point, but Bob ends up getting slept.
This is such a scrappy fight, and the res comes out. Both supports are still alive. Well, 1 minute remains for C9 to make something happen. Shoda's probably looking for a big bomb, and there it is right into the back line. Not going to connect with anyone, only going to give Miko some more charge for his bubble. In the meantime, while all that was happening, Cyberfish found 2 kills, and Michello eliminates Zoe. Less than a minute remains, and things are not looking great if you're C9.
So tough on the side of C9 here. It's just doesn't look like their DPS are quite able to find as much value as the Ashe and Cyberfish on the Echo. Looks like pre-fight, we see Mines coming out there, trying to get a little bit of harassing, doesn't find anything. Kiniko jumping up on the high ground, immediately gets harassed off, doesn't quite get the opportunity to pop Primal. Cyberfish coming in with a beam. We see Zoe just spamming into shield on Widow, not quite managing to find anybody. Mello flying in the skybox there, gets a little bit of pressure, ends up backing off there.
They've got the res, and if one mistake is made, it could end it all. Kiniko finds Mello, but Avian drops, and Miko's dead too, so that's no off-tank or main heals. Zoe finds a clutch kill into Michello, but is it going to be enough? Potentially not. Something big has to come up as Cristado's finding 2. Shota finds Kiniko, and it's just Zoe killing Quintessence as no one is able to touch. Ball can't make it back in time. Luigi Anna will make the series 2-0 and taking Hollywood.
Absolutely. It looked like maybe the double shield was causing a bit of a problem for the DPS there, just not quite able to find angles, and the enemy DPS not quite having to worry as much about movement, just being able to stand there and aim because of the shields. Anytime Kiniko went in for the engage, never quite able to find anything off that engage, always ends up getting pressured off that high ground or even trading his life for that engage. So
well, Luigi is up 2-0 in the series. Looks like we're going to be swapping sides here. And we'll be on to our next map, which I believe is... What actually is our next map? Havana. We're going to Escort next.
Going on to Havana, a very fun map. You can see a lot of comps coming out there, but it seems that at this lower level, we tend to favor the Brawl coming up. So we may see yet another Brawl, either Brawl Double Bubble or a Brawl Mirror coming into this.
So you described Havana as fun. To me, that tells me you've never actually played on Havana, I'm going to assume.
I always find some fun games on Havana. It very much so depends on whether you queued with someone. It's a very 50-50 setup, but on average, I would say I have a fairly fun time.
See, okay. I'm gonna see. All right, I'm gonna throw down a hot take. I'm gonna say it's the correct take too. I think Junkertown, especially Point A of Junkertown, and Havana are the worst two maps in the game next to Paris and Horizon, because on that map, on those two maps, more so than any other map in the game, it is a literal sniper diff. If the enemy team has a good sniper, like you just lose. Like you just lose, and there's nothing you can do about it if you can't find an answer to it. I personally
Very true.
hate playing on Havana or Junkertown for the sole reason of how sniper favored these maps are. But when it comes to spectating, I mean, yeah, it can be fun.
For sure. I think it's very interesting to see very high-level sniper duels, see how they engage them. Very swingy fights with the Widow and the Hanzo there, just ready to take somebody out at a moment's notice. I think oftentimes it can be very fun, especially if you're playing maybe something like a Tracer, because you just always have very fun, very easy duels to go and engage onto the Widowmaker, pressure her out, and very fun time in my opinion. But then again, I also don't usually end up playing DPS, or if I find myself in maybe a bit of a lower game, it always devolves into Hog Zarya. So what can you do?
Roadhogs, man. I'm sorry. I gotta vent as a tank player. The amount of times that I will queue tank expecting to lock either main or off tank, and then the other tank I'm end up getting queued with just locks Roadhog. Man.
It's unfortunate.
If any of you DPS players listen, I know you guys want faster queues, but just don't queue tank if you can't play anything other than Hog. It's really gonna it's gonna save us a lot of expense and blood pressure medication. Really, it'd be a big help. Please stop. Anyway, looks like we're going on to Havana pretty soon. Just waiting on both teams to be R. I'm expecting, like as you said, sniper favored. So I'm expecting to see maybe a sniper matchup, potentially double sniper, maybe some other kind of weird pick. I have seen some Genji on Havana. I have seen it.
I know we saw Zoe end up locking the Widowmaker for a little bit there. We saw Zoe pick up the Widowmaker last night as well and just get so much value. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not we do see the Widowmaker coming out here. But just a quick comment on the tank. Looks like in the future in Overwatch 2, you may not have to worry about your tank duo anymore. So,
which I don't know. I'm kind of looking forward to that after somebody in the Overwatch League chat actually said this. So believe it or not, the plat chat of Overwatch League made me rethink my opinion on this. But they said it was during a game where people were running double shield, and somebody in chat literally said, and I quote, "You guys are watching two people play double shield, and you're still in favor of 6v6 Omega lol." And I went, yeah, actually, you know what? I don't have to watch double shield anymore, or play double shield anymore if 5v5 is a thing. So I'm in favor of it now. Works
true.
for me. I'm gonna miss Ryan Zarya.
Much of the Overwatch League is now going to be out of a job if these changes end up going through in Overwatch 2. So, a little bit unfortunate for the professional players, but it'll be interesting to see maybe how they shift around. Maybe we'll even see some new teams pop up with some new players joining those teams, and maybe a little bit of an expanded league now.
If any off tanks are watching, we are terribly, terribly sorry. On the bright side, there's Valorant, I guess. I don't know if you fancy that.
Just to off tanks out there, have you considered that maybe a role where you can consistently play Roadhog is just the wrong role?
I mean, hey, there's always DPS. You know, if you like tracking like your Zarya and your divas, you go play Tracer. You know, just go play Tracer. If you liked Roadhog, go play a different game. I don't want you in my queues. If you like playing Sigma, I understand. I don't know if there's a DPS hero for you, actually. I don't know. This is quite an interesting conversation of where the off tanks can go.
A DPS hero for Sigma. That's an interesting question there.
Any Sigma players, what DPS heroes would you go to?
Just
Let
give
us know.
Bastion his shield.
Just
and
give
there we go.
Bastion his shield again.
Sigma players satisfied.
Dude, easy. Although I want to say big problem about how that shield change back in the day was, see, I remember the beta. He had his shield, but he couldn't turn more than 180 degrees in any direction. So you could only look straight up or down and left or right, and that's it. You couldn't turn around, so you were pretty vulnerable. But on the plus side, you know what you could do? You know his turret form where he like is a Gatling gun.
Yes.
That spread used to be tighter, and you could headshot with it.
That is unfortunate.
I want you to imagine how fast you think people get burned out nowadays, but with headshot damage as Bastion.
I'm sure many a tank players had quit the game in beta solely because of that.
So if you think things are bad right now, main tanks, they could be a lot worse. Just take it from me. I've been playing since beta. Things were pretty weird champ back then. Genji had an 8-second blade, which isn't actually the worst thing in the world, considering
Very
Genji's
true.
current state. Anyway, Havana. 5 seconds. We'll see what the heroes are. I'm expecting to see some sniper stuff. It's Havana, ZZZ. Let's see what we got here. Double shield for C9. They probably want to do the close, like, spawn hold. That's typically the meta strat you want to do in Havana. Burn as much time as you can because the cart moves slow, and there's quite a bit of a way to go on this first point. So you can usually spawn hold, drag as much time off as you can, and then just end up holding right at the last point. Looks like we're going to see a Zarya Sigma, potentially? Zoe's on that Widow.
We may see Kineko just scouting there. We might see an Orisa or a Reinhardt come out, or even possibly a Roadhog.
C9 here looking for some picks with this sniper as Quintessence is going to be... Yeah, my brain. Sorry. Quintessence is going to be locking the Widow as well. So we're going to see a Widow duel here as the gates open. Zoe's on the right side looking for the first blood. Oh! And he's going to find it.
Zoe, very solid pick. They have to worry so much less about Widow there, but ends up burning the res on Mello there. Zoe!
Sending a very clear message of, nah, you're not playing Widowmaker, go play something else. As he gets rezzed and then dropped immediately afterwards. Kineko almost feeds his brains out and he's at half health. Crostado is looking to push them back off this card to try and hold the space for as long as he can.
Absolutely. Hopefully we see a good hook coming in on the off angle for Kineko there. Just sending spam into shields. Kineko ends up getting a big hook onto Crostado there. Zoe ends up getting another pick onto Quintessence. Quintessence just shaking his head right now, asking why he has to play Widowmaker.
And he swaps to the Hanzo. I don't blame him. I would too. Getting at Widow can be painful, so good shots there from Zoe as the cart's rounding the final corner. Avian just chilling, probably checking Twitter on his phone in between orbs now and again, just sitting on the payload. Cyberfish does find a kill on the Habutai, so that might give them an opening that they need here to recontest this cart.
Possibly Cyberfish has to stay out of the skies there. Zoe has been such a threat on the Widow, so engaging on the Widow here is a very risky prospect. But it looks like that attention is giving enough time for Crostado to go in there and end up engaging on the front line, as well as Miko. Miko ends up going down to Cyberfish as well.
Habutai trades out Cyberfish in place of Miko as the res comes back up and make that a 6v4 as Zoe finds another pick on the Mello, cleaning up one of the supports, and now looks like, Luigiana is on the back foot.
Absolutely, it's very tough here for Luigiana. This is
Ooh.
a very big slam coming out, but it doesn't look like it matters because Kineko just comes in with Whole Hog and says, "No, you don't. This is our point." Still contesting. Shota coming onto the card to contest, but it's not quite enough as C9 confirm this first point here with 4 minutes on the clock.
Quintessence getting his revenge on Zoe. I think we'll be pretty content with that for the time being. 4 minutes on the clock as the cart enters the building for second point. And if you're Habutai, you're looking for a big copy here to engage with, but Shota and Quintessence and Michello have ults to work with. They're actually going to be swapping over the Lucians from the Mercy, which I'm personally in favor of based on their comp here. That could allow them to rotate a lot faster.
Absolutely. It's interesting to see Shota isn't there trying to give Quintessence a nice shield on the off angle to maybe try and engage Zoe there. Everybody seems very afraid of Zoe. Kiniko, though, going in, getting a big pick onto Quintessence anyways, coming in the back line, 600 HP, saying, "This is my space." Cyberfish, though, coming in the back line, maybe getting a big pick onto Zoe there. Engaging, gets a huge pick onto Zoe. That's going to be big for the engage. Getting a big copy onto Roadhog there. Flux comes out. We see Transcendence coming out from the Zenyatta. Whole Hog coming out, maybe trying to push Zen away from the map. Still a little bit of time left on Cyberfish's copy there. Will Cyberfish be able to find yet another ult? Doesn't quite look like it. Michello finding a little bit of harass there. Quintessence throwing out the Hanzo ult there. Finding nothing but separating the team a little bit. Cyberfish maybe going in and getting a big pick on a Sigma there. Kiniko taking out Cristado. Kiniko throwing his ult, taking out Michello, but getting picked by Quintessence there. Very messy fight, but it looks like Luigiana managed to hold this.
AVN is trying to stealth his way out. He was like behind the team, but he's able to float his way around stealthily and escape for his team to regroup. C9, 2.5 minutes to go, and they only have a Flux to work with. That being said, Mello, if he gets his beat, if he doesn't get his beat fast enough, they're going to be able to find that Flux pretty easily. Lucio is one of the slowest charging ults in the game, if not the slowest charging ult in the game. So they're going to have to take this pretty quickly if they want to do something before Mello can charge that.
Absolutely, and Zoe there trying to maybe get a little bit of a pick on an off angle, but he's met by Shota, who tries to give them the trap. Goes on to a little bit of a different angle, but Cristado comes in with a hook. A big pick. Cyberfish taking out Habutai. That's both DPS down on the side of C96. Kiniko about to go down as well. Kiniko goes down to Cyberfish. We see a window coming out from Michello. Cristado goes down, but it doesn't look like it matters too much. Looks like we're going to see a little bit more, or we're going to see a hold from Luigiana here yet again.
Luigiana still holding on, and now they have the beats. The Flex wasn't enough, and the only thing that they have to work with now is the Mercy Valk. But they do swap over to the Sombra. And they're going to make a couple of more swaps, actually. They're going to be swapping to a Sombra Tracer Dive with Mercy Zen. This is pretty old school. Minus the Sombra pick, of course. We're going to have to see how they work with this. Oh, so is almost going to get himself found out. He's just chilling in the backline looking for a hack potential. He's got a translocator to get out, though. Everything's kind of relying on this hack dive engagement. This is a pretty tall order based on the comp they're working with here. As Hog Sigma is typically anti-dive. I see it on Gibraltar sometimes as an answer to it.
Absolutely. Looks like we see Kiniko going for a dive, but Cristado just hooks in and says, absolutely not, off my backline. We see Shizno going in for the res, but he gets hooked once again and goes down to Cristado there. Roadhog just proving that the scattergun is too much. Getting yet another critical hook onto Miko there, demeching. Are we going to see a stall there?
Oh, Mercy, Miko and Cyberfish. No, Cristado didn't respect the 1v1. I was quite ready to watch that go down, but Cristado said, no, that's enough. No fun allowed, as Roadhog players tend to be. What can you do, though? 25 seconds remaining, and no ults online for C9. And meanwhile, the ult economy is kind of stacked for Luigiana. Let's see what they do in this final fight here. This hack has got to be big, and this engagement has got to be clean.
Absolutely. You know, we see 4 ults coming out on the side of C9 there, so Cristado immediately throwing out his ult. We see a Flux coming out, Beat coming out as well. Is Quintessence going to throw out the Dragons? Looks like Quintessence ends up finding Zoe. Dragons coming out straight onto the cart, splitting the team up. Catches Miko out. Quintessence also takes out Kiniko. Habutai gets a big pick onto Cyberfish, but is it going to be enough to confirm this cart? Holding on for dear life there on the side of Luigiana here. Avian back in the fight, getting harassed there, but ends up living. Shinsnow taking out Shota there. Michello's Immort going down, but we see a window come out. Cristado ends up taking out Zoe. Habutai in the background is getting so much harassing. Cristado misses the hook there, but he gets a lot of value there. Avian going in, taking the pick onto Quintessence when he throws out his Coalescence there. Miko coming back, taking Mello out of the fight. Maybe a little bit of revenge there. Cristado takes out Avian there, so that's a stain gone on the side of Luigiana Purchase.
Despite everything, he managed to build back up some momentum and turn it around. Kiniko's going to engage with the Primal. Habutai finds another full spawn. It's not going to connect to anybody, though. Kiniko with his Primal is going to drop Michello. So there's no Baptiste now for Luigiana. That could be really dicey as they only have Lucio heals now. They have Kiniko. Cristado has his ult. Maybe he can push back off cart, but that's a tall order when looking right down a face of a Diva. And now here comes the overtime stall.
See Cristado coming to the background, taking out Zoe there, throwing out ult, ends up getting taken down to the Miko bomb.
Not quite as big as Shoda's, but a big bomb is going to be able to find enough kills that they need. That's second impact worthy levels of manslaughter. And once again, they're actually going to be able to get this cap going, but a minute and a half to cap Havana third is not a lot of time. This is one of the hardest points to push through because of the sideline diff that defenders tend to have and how choke heavy the getting through the last section can be on this map. So 1 minute remaining. Let's see what they decide to do. Quintessence is back on the Widow. Let's see if he finds a pick.
Absolutely, it's very scrappy fight there. It looks like C9 ended up throwing, or Louis. Oh my goodness, Quintessence getting a big pick onto Zoe there before the fight starts. Looks like
They're gonna drop Cristado.
Big pick there as well. Cyberfish copying the Roadhog. We're still seeing 2 Roadhogs on the point there. Gets hooked and taken out of Roadhog form there. Kiniko getting these big hooks in.
Cristado just swapped back to the Reinhardt, and I am excited for the MTD. Cristado said, looked at this situation and said, I don't need to stall, I don't need to disrupt, I'm just gonna lock the Reinhardt here, and I respect that kind of a pick. Probably looking for a shield maybe to find Quintessence. Quintessence on the flank, but Habitai's gonna find that really fast. And that's a good pick with 20 seconds left to go, but Cyberfish and Cristado find picks, but Habitai is just ravaging the backline right now. Still making things even for his team.
Absolutely finding so much value there. We see Habitat take out Cyberfish there. Shizno taking out Shoda's mech. We see C9 or Luigiana there holding on for dear life. Quintessence takes out Habitai, but we see Kiniko going in there with his ult. Oh, gets stunned out of it by the Quintessence. We still see Immort up. Cristado swinging into Miko there. Miko taking a lot of harass. Kiniko taking a lot of harass. We see the Bastion come out on Cyberfish.
The big slam.
Huge slam. Is there going to be any follow-up? Doesn't look like it. Zoe finding picks and taking ankles here. Quintessence taking out Kiniko. Now it's just Miko left on the tank line, but Zoe ends up taking out Cristado. Just there in the background. Looks like Quintessence ends up getting picked by the Flux. They end up throwing out ult or a beat on the side of C96 there. They're holding on. We see a big stall coming out from Luigiana here. Habutai taking out 2, locking on the legs. We see Kiniko coming back on the ball. Zoe taking yet another pick, just ravaging this fight. Diva Bomb going nowhere. You see Shota going in for the remake, but doesn't look like he quite finds anything with the remake there. Habutai taking out Cyberfish. Shota still holding on to the point, maybe giving enough time for Michello to make it there. Immort still stalling on point. Lucio on there. Maybe can stall for a little bit. We see Monkey going on the backline. Jumps way too far. Is that going to be a confirmed point? C9 confirm this point. Cristado ends up jumping a little bit too far back.
Habutai just finding one pick after another in the world's scrappiest Savannah .3 fight. Absolutely impressive work from a lot of the players there on both sides, but in the end they capped all 3 points, and now it's Luigiana on the uphill battle.
Absolutely, and it's going to be a menace here with Zoe on the defense. We saw Zoe just collecting heads left and right, going in there and, taking picks before the fight even starts, forcing Luigiana to go back to the drawing board. So it's going to be interesting to see where Zoe sets up, how this duel is going to go once again. Maybe if we're going to see a ball to try and stifle the Widow a little bit. Be interesting to see what comps are run here. Ooh, it looks like we might see something of a spawn camp coming out from C9 here. Looks like Cristado, Shota Cristado running on the ball sig there. A little bit interesting on the support line, but that might just be for scouting purposes there.
And it looks like, it looks like C9 is going to be taking this spawn hold. Yes, they are. They're going to hold from the spawn here on the side. They're trying to keep themselves hidden as much as they possibly can. And while spinning around in spawn, Luigiana has literal idea. I don't think they know. They're going to be running a Sigma ball comp with Sombra and Echo into this spawn comp brawl. Oh, God.
Kiniko maybe engaging a little bit early there. Jumping the gun a little bit. Not quite letting them get out of spawn. Looks like Cristado goes out to try and get some poke there. Looks like they're going to end up going to swap to try and combat this, maybe.
Yep, and this has come online. They're going to be running the Rhine Diva Baptiste Reaper May now. That is a comp you definitely can run with out here. And here they go.
We see a wall come out, but the wall doesn't quite find anything. We see yet another wall come out, doesn't quite find anything, but it looks like an Immort was forced out on the side of Luigiana there. That's a little bit of an advantage that you might see C9 try to abuse there. Kiniko ends up taking out Cristado there due to that huge wall. Gigantic slam. Finds Cyberfish there as well. Is it going to find Mello too? Zo picking up 2 heads. As, Quintessence ends up taking out Kiniko though. It looks like that might be enough. It looks like C9 are in retreat right now. Just going to give them a little bit of space and wait for Cristado to make it back to the fight.
They got a bit greedy there with the Rhyme pick, and they're going to pay for it. But that's a minute burned off the time bacon. That's exactly what you're kind of looking for there. Just burn as much time off. If you can hold them there, that's fantastic. But that's typically not the end result, or the end result that you're desiring. Or I guess that you expect, I guess, if you just kind of desire it.
So we see Quintessence there on an off-angle. We're trying to do a big pick onto Mello there. Looks like they're in position, though, so it doesn't look like that's going to be quite as influential on the fight. We see Kiniko get frozen there. Immort coming out from Avian there. Habutai taking 2, both the tank line. See a wall coming out. Is that going to be enough to stop Kiniko, though? Oh, a gigantic wall from Habutai there, stalling people from spawn, forcing them to go back to the drawing board there. We see Cristado coming back. Shinso taking out Mello.
Mello almost escaped, and now they're not going to be holding the spawn again. I guess they learned their lesson from last time. So they're just going to hold the cart normally. Zo is on a flank for this high noon. He's hiding in the teal building right now. So let's see if they have an answer for that. They have quite a bit of options. They could potentially Wallhammer Snowdeck could fly up into him in Matrix. We'll see how that goes. Zo is looking for the opportunity. He's going to find it pretty soon.
Right here, coming out here with the high noon. A slam comes out, but it doesn't matter because Zo connects with 4, demeching the D.Va. A big free comes out as well. 5 kills from Zo.
And he's going to collect up, 5 kills in total. Unlucky. Doesn't get the 6K. He's probably going to report his teammate for that one. But an absolutely nice, clean usage of ults. They still have their tank ults online. 1 minute remaining. Things are now looking bad for Luigiana.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It looks like they might be taking the series to a 2-1 here. We see a wall come out.
Oh no! The grab!
Grab ends up
straight to the wall.
on
Kiniko now has to find a shatter. He doesn't find anything. Shoda's bomb in the back. Okay.
Big wall coming out from May there. Both walls coming out again, not quite finding anybody to collect on. Quintessence coming in there with Reaper finding 4K plus the Immort. And Zo is just going to have to go back. Ends up getting collected by Shoda there. 40 seconds on the clock. Looks like we might see another fight coming out from C9 here before the cart quite makes it to the point here. With 30 seconds left, nobody quite has ults, but we might... Oh, Avian has ult. Zo has ult. We might see those become influential in this fight. Maybe a Deadeye window combo.
Oh, the wall. But the counter wall is bigger. Cristado gets frozen, though. They really have to come together with something here with 17 seconds remaining, and that's going to be a pick that they can definitely work with, and there's no lamp for them as well. They might actually be able to reestablish some point presence on this card if nothing is found from Luigiana.
Zo coming in, takes a pick on a Michello. That's a huge pick, taking the Baptiste out of the fight. That removes their sustain. They throw down the May ult as well. Looks like they collect everything there. Kiniko throwing down the shatter, adding insult to injury, and this point goes in C9-6's favor.
Making the series C9 1 and Luigiana 2. So we're going to map 4.
Absolutely, and it was excellent seeing some of that Widow play, just fights ending before they even start, just seeing picks left and right. Quintessence coming out here getting a 4K. We saw Zo out there get a 5K with the Deadeye. A big DPS ults coming out from both sides, very flashy.
Very good play, C9 getting their game back together. Will they be able to continue this momentum? We'll find out in the next map.
Are we going to see the reverse sweep come out?
Don't casters curse it. Don't curse it, and don't curse anything yet. If they lose now, it's on you. You've just cursed it.
I've cursed it, oh no. I believe in C9-6. I believe in Habutai's amazing sticks. Last night, Habutai just every game coming in with a 1 or 2K, pretty much every stick. Excellent play there.
My memory serves me correctly. We're going to everybody's favorite game mode next, 2CP. Yay. Sorry,
2CP.
I tried to sound as happy as I could, chat. I really did. Anyway, what map specifically? I think it's Volskaya. If once again my goldfish brain can remember what the map pool is. But good things like on display from C9, the DPS really stepping their game up. In fact, the tank line and coordination is also really stepping their game up as well. C9 looked like a totally different team than on Hollywood on Havana there.
Absolutely. And, going into Volskaya there, I think traditionally we've seen a lot of double bubble presence here. But it might be interesting to see maybe if, it looks like Cristado and Kiniko might find a little bit of a comfort pick in the brawl there. So it'll be interesting to see what comps they end up running here.
And it looks like we're going to have a side swap. C9's on the defense once again first to set the pace, and Luigiana is going to be on the offense.
Absolutely, and it'll be interesting to see. We've seen a lot of interesting defensive comps coming out. Havana specifically was very interesting, seeing Zoe get just so much value there on the Widow. Looks like we've got just a little bit of time before we go into map as well.
On the defense, it looks like we're gonna. I would expect to maybe see like them commit to maybe something like a Widow or an Ashe, potentially two, because the sniper sightlines on point A of the sky on the defense side is pretty strong. So maybe Wazo will get to flex some Widowmaker some more, but I'm thinking Luigiana will probably run a double bubble, because that's typically what you would run on an offense. You can run a brawl, but it's a little hard because of the high ground and the rotation advantage that defense has because they have that bridge in the back. So like if you try to rush them on one side of the high ground, they could just go to the other side, and then, well, now you're just kind of looking at them. They can't really do anything.
Yeah, and it's so hard with Brawl because Lucio isn't timing the speed right, and if Reinhardt isn't quite pathing correctly, and your team isn't quite coordinated enough, it's very easy to just get caught in an infinite rotation, allowing Ashe to just get so much dynamite presence, get picks left and right, throw Bob on point, and then before you know it, it's 30 seconds left, and you guys haven't taken a single tick.
Running brawl on. Well, Sky is typically what you would like do back in the day, but as the game has evolved and as compositions themselves have evolved too, people just probably miss dive. I think people just miss playing dive, honestly.
Very true. After Goats dominated for so long, I think Brawl might cause a little bit of trauma for some people, having to run Brig or Moira or Zen, and just nothing ever dying.
See, if you weren't Brig, Goats was fun. I liked Goats. I know that's probably a hot take. I just felt the room shake a little bit, but hey, listen, if you were Reinhardt or Zarya in Goats, that was pretty fun. That was one of the most fun comps. That was the most fun I've had in Overwatch actually in a long time. I just miss Goats. I'll shut up now. I'll stop being a boomer. Let's see here. On the offense, Ryan, Winston, they're probably trolling. I'm going to ignore that for now. On the defense side, we're going to be running Ryan, Zarya, May, McCree for the side.
Entropy, I wouldn't discount the Ryan Monkey quite yet. We saw them roll out on that comp last night, and
oh, did you actually? Well, all right, let me put it to you this way. Anytime I see it in Plat, and it kind of works in Plat. Anytime I see that in any other like rank higher, it never works. It just doesn't. I have never seen Ryan Monkey work in anything higher than my Platinum competitive games every now and again when I play with my friends. But okay, high hopes. Fine, I'll believe in them. I have faith. Smile. Here they go. Rolling up to the offense for the first fight. We'll see how the Ryan Winston Omega Lol stacks into the Ryan Zarya. It's Big Brain versus Tradition. Oh, and the Sim. And they just drop Miko immediately.
Big Sim TP on the point. Habutai taking out Cyberfish. Cyberfish taking out Miko here. Habutai harassing the Mercy in the backline. Ryan's just brawling it up. Habutai takes out Quintessence too. Habutai just taking ankles. Mello gets the res onto Quintessence. Is that going to be enough to turn this fight though? Kingo gets a big hit. Habutai taking out Quintessence yet again. 64 to ult. Gets anti. Is Habutai going to be forced to throw it?
Avian finding the rest of the tanks. And Avian gets himself a 3k. Habutai is just completely woken up. Something in Havan has made him snap, and this man is now just clicking heads over and over again alongside his partner in crime, Zoe. Habutai is already at a blizzard at 90% almost. He's gonna have it up in the mid fight. And Kiniko's gonna have a shatter to answer Crustado's 67% ult charge. So 1 minute already burned. Let's see how they take the second attempt. Shatter connects right into the shield.
You see an early nade coming out onto Habutai. Doesn't quite find enough there. Avian getting harassed by the monkey there. Miko taking out Cristado, though. Looks like Avian's going to be able to run forward. Monkey just causing so many issues in his backline, but it doesn't look like it's causing enough because we see a male coming out, Cristado, getting frozen, going down to Habutai. We see a Nano coming out on the Monkey, but Nano Monkey is nothing compared to Habutai, reawoken after the Widow duels. Some fire just lit up in him.
Granted, he wasn't even the one that was on Widow. That was so, and like, he's still clicking heads, but Habutai just snapped after Havana's last point. And he's just now going crazy. He is determined to help carry his team to the to the series win at the reverse sweep. Both tank ults online for Luigi and Cristado's gonna try and find a slam, and Shota's gonna try and cause some chaos with Primal, but that's all they're gonna have. Mello might have this Valk to support them, but that's about it. And now they're looking to collapse on point.
Absolutely. Looks like Shota ends up getting pressured out. Kiniko goes down to Cristado there. Zoe trying to throw it ult, but it doesn't look like he connects with anything. Avian takes down the side of Luigiana's. Miko going down to a shatter and a slam. Quintessence taking out Avian here. Habutai going down, and this is going to confirm the point for Luigiana purchase here.
Luigiana secured point A, and now all they have to do is commit to attacking point B. They have some ults to work with maybe for the first push, but C9 has a beat and a shatter coming up online to work with, but that's all they're about gonna have. Another 4 minutes. It's like the first point didn't even happen.
Sweet, so it looks like you see Shota swap off the Monkey onto the Diva finally, but we still have Cyberfish and Mello on the Mercy Echo, so it's going to be interesting to see how Lucio plays into these rotations. We see Luigiana coming up and taking this high ground here, shielding up a bit, trying to give Quintessence and Michello a little bit of an angle.
Window comes out from Michello. Cyberfish copies the Rhine in the back. Kiniko falls. Quintessence with the high noon in the back line.
You see near high noons coming out. Neither finds anything, but Zoe finds Cyberfish and Shota's mech. Habutai taking out Cyberfish's non-clone form. Ooh, we see a
big huge blizzard.
Ooh. Very big, excellent cleanup there, and it looks like that's going to be Mello maybe trying to escape. Mercy on the run here. Can Mello make it back to spawn before Wall comes out? Avian collecting Mello.
Habutai and Zoe just saying, you guys, you're not going to win this time. Go back. Try again. Nice try, mate. Cristado got a shatter coming up for Luigiana, but that's all they're going to have to work with for this next fight. Avian's going to have a window, but again, that's all C9 has in return. So mostly a dry fight coming into this next attempt. Let's see how this fight goes. They're going to be taking the high ground again, pretty standard. We'll see where they go from there. Cristado's going to drop immediately and find out big slam.
Big slam, but it doesn't look like it was enough. Habutai just taking out Cristado. Zoe taking out Quintessence. Cyberfish ends up taking out Zoe, but is it going to be enough? Cyberfish finding a lot of pressure. Shota also finding a lot of pressure, having to back off. Ooh! Kiniko taking Shota off the map, but trading himself. Mello jumping off, and Luigiana just going back to the drawing board once again. Are we going to see any comp swaps here? Or are we end up seeing Cyberfish on the May?
Swap the May for the Echo. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, but most of this feed, this entire game, has just been Habutai and Zoe. They're really stepping their game up, and that can't be understated. Shota's got a bomb, though. Will he recreate, once again, another impact with one of his bombs? They've been huge all game. Let's see if we can find find a third one here. As he's trying to find an opportunity for it. They don't have a lot of answers for their push. Actually, no, they do have 3 ults, if you're C9 here. Let's have to see how this goes. Windows starts out the fight.
Ults coming out in succession, left and right. We see Immort coming out from the side of Luigiana. Habutai taking out Mello. Avian taking out Cristado. Kiniko taking out Michello. Zoe taking Shota's mech. Kiniko taking out Quintessence. And the fight's over in a lightning fast time. Cyberfish just jumping off the map.
All they had to commit there was Habutai's Blizzard too, so that still leaves them with a beat to answer any ults from Luigiana that they get hit with, and they still have Zoe's High Noon to do some pressure or zoning if you can't find anything with it, and like, you know, just at the least. Kiniko's gonna have a Shatter, whereas Cristado doesn't have his. Shota's gonna have Bomb, and Quintessence is gonna have High Noon. That's all they got to work with, but I have faith in the Shota Bomb. He's got this.
Yeah,
I believe it.
1 minute left on the clock here as
They're
we
going
see
on a weird
Louisiana
rotation. This is
trying to
creative.
take, absolutely, maybe trying to take
They want to give their McCree high ground. That's what they're doing. They want to give the McCree the back on the high ground.
excellent fundamentals coming out here from Louisiana, maybe recognizing that, you know, just engaging straight into the May hasn't been working out, trying to come from a different angle.
They got him locked in the sight line now, so Quintessence can maybe find something, but a huge wall from Habutai blocks it. Shoda's bomb comes out now. He's going to find anything. It's going to find Miko, and that might just be enough to get the momentum rolling here. But a big shatter is going to drop Michello and Crustado, and Lucio cleans him up. Avian finds Quintessence, and now it's just an all-out brawl on the point.
Absolutely, we're seeing trades left and right. Ooh, we see Shota end up getting frozen, but it doesn't look like it's quite enough. Fight going left and right, wall coming out. We hear Zoe's ult coming out on the Deadeye. We see Cyberfish mirror May ults coming out onto the point here. Zarya trying to beam down Shota. Is Shota going to go down? We trade Cyberfish for Avian, Habutai for Shota. Cristado going in for the brawl. And Kineko ends up getting taken out. Michello taking out Habutai. Zoe ends up taking out Cyberfish. Still trades coming left and right. It looks like C9 are still trying to hold on to point here. Looks like Lucio's still there. They've still got a good solid base of brawl on the
God's
point.
work with this stall. He's still alive somehow, and that's going to allow some time for the ball on the BAP to come back. A shatter only drops the ball. Unlucky pin connects onto Lucio. Habutai's back on the Doomfist to maybe find a pick. He's going to drop Michello. He's going to try, but he's not going to connect the punch. 1 tick is finally collected for Louisiana. 2 ticks now and counting as the stall now has to come back in. No one's going to touch.
Looks
Well,
like a
guess it had to happen.
4-9 coming out from Nico here, getting slammed into the wall.
It looked like they had that one in the bag until they finally were able to take the momentum back out from under them and finally capture the point. But man, that was not easy in the slightest. So we'll see how C9 fares on the attacking side, and we'll see how Louisiana is able to hold their ground. Time being, we'll find out what the teams are running in 15 seconds here. I don't know at this point anymore. I really don't.
You know, you never know when it comes to some of these games. I think in particular, like, the stars of this game have been Zoe and Habutai. It seems that, you know, getting that Widow diff that last map and, you know, really trying to cement that victory gave them the fire that they needed to go in and hold for as long as they did. They ended up taking Louisiana to overtime. No time left on the clock for Louisiana here, so... Looks like they're rolling out on the Brawl, but Miko on the Zarya and Shota on...
Honestly, at the beginning, I believe Shodan was probably our MVP on Nepal. And Hollywood was kind of a mix, but ever since Havana, Habutai and Avzo have like awoken... They've opened their third eyes at this point. The stage now belongs to the DPS line of C9. And with 10 seconds burning down, the gates are going to open. And we're going to see how C9, with this Brawl, May, McCree sticking to their guns, can roll through the defense of Louisiana, who's running a Torb now instead of a May, so that could possibly open them up for no worries of like having a counter wall. So if they find a big wall and there's no answer for Louisiana, that could really be pretty nasty.
We see a wall coming out, separating Crustado from his team. We see Diva coming up, separating Crustado, taking a big pick onto Habutai there, but going down to Kineko. Shota taking a lot of pressure, finding it on the point. Zoe taking out Quintessence. Crustado going down to Shota, though. Very scrappy fight on point there. Cyberfish putting in so much work with the turret here. Shizno taking out the turret, but looks like they're going to be able to hold here. 4-2 on point right now. They're engaging on to Shizno. Looks like Nico ends up taking Shota out of mech, but it doesn't look like it matters. Cyberfish collects on Nico there. Shizno just taking so much harass from this turret, ends up going down to Michello. And that's back to the drawing board once again for C9-6 here.
Only 1 minute burned off. They've now completely swapped to the Sombra Torbjorn on the side of Louisiana, and C9 now is coming up on their grab and their shatter. So potentially looking for something like that. It's up with a Shota to eat that. We'll have to see if he can. Shell's gonna have window, Cyber's gonna have ult, and Crustado's going to have shatter. And they're walking up. The lamp's already committed though, and it's gone.
Ooh, we see Window coming out from the side of Louisiana. They already committed Lamp. Ooh, a Shatter comes out, but it doesn't look like it connects with anything. Second Shatter comes out. Habutai ends up taking out Crustado. Is that going to be enough for them to maybe find an opening here on point? Zoe takes out Cyberfish's turret. Quintessence ends up taking out Zoe, though. We see two ults coming out, Core and Beat coming out from the side of Luigiana here, holding on to point, or in a desperate attempt to hold on to point. Avian ends up taking Shota out of Met. Kiniko takes a two-piece, taking Shota and Cyberfish. Looks like Michello is also going to go down. Quintessence taking a lot of harass on point, and that's going to confirm this point for C96.
And C9 now has a terrifying amount of snowball potential with the Grab, Blizzard, and High Noon. Granted, they don't have Beat, so it's all on... Okay, they swap over back to the Mei from the Torb. Now all they have left is Snowda's Bomb, which I can probably count on, and Quintessence's EMP. If this EMP doesn't find a big pick, they could snowball. They could possibly snowball this entire point with 4.5 minutes. And here they come. Snowda's Bomb is out.
Bomb coming out. They end up dropping the wall, but it doesn't find anybody quite.
The huge EMP finds all 6!
EMP taking down 2 on Quintessence's zone. Habutai goes down as the third. Cristado ends up taking out Habutai, and it looks like C96, after that EMP, just have to run back to spawn, try to get out, rethink that. That was a big ultimate coming out from the side of Luigiana, though. So it'll be interesting to see how they deal with 3 ults coming into this fight on the side of
That's all they had. And they still have the Grab, Blizzard, and the High Noon. And now they have Shatter, too. And they still don't have Mellow's Beat. So all they need, really, is just one big ult, take the point, and then during the overtime, they still have answers, too. They're going to wall up the high ground so they can just run it down mid. And the Blizzard looks like what's going to be out first, and it's going to find 2 or 3 members.
Blizzard comes out. Michello's going to go down to Habutai there. Zoe throws out Igo. A big hammer coming down on Kiniko here. And that might be just enough for them to confirm this point. It
doesn't look like anyone's going to be able to touch. No, and C9 will now put Luigiana in a position where they have to draw this or go 2-2 in the series.
Absolutely. Quintessence coming out and getting that big 6-man EMP, but it wasn't quite enough for them to confirm anything more after that. They sent C9 back to spawn, but C9 didn't have to expend any ultimates for that. So they just ended up coming in 4 ultimates in the container, just using those ultimates effectively. Ended up taking the point, and with 3:28 on the clock, it looks like we might see a 2-2 in this series.
I don't know. I don't want to jinx anything yet. A draw is entirely possible, but that's still a way better position than winning. Luigiana can no longer win Volskaya Industries. They now have to play for the draw. And, people have, oh, it's a draw, waste of time. But that's way better than making your opponent gain a map right now. So, we'll have to see if they can hold. And they're going to lock the Sombra and now the Mei, which is good if they have that initial, Mei. But now they're going to commit the Zarya instead of the Diva. The reason they need to do that now is because they don't have Diva's incredible just raw burst damage when walling off a target and brawling it. They now have to rely on Zarya getting that high energy to able to add in the damage that's not going to be able to come in from the Sombra compared to McCree, where he can throw in those right clicks and that flash. So no more Divas for Shota. They're going to be mirroring the tank line that C9's been running, but they still don't have a McCree. So we're gonna have to see how there. It's it's a lot on Quintessence's hacks right now. Sorry, tough name for me to say. I'm bronze when it comes to name enunciation. Here they go, walking up to the choke.
Kiniko, we see mirror fire strikes coming out. We see mirror walls coming out as well. Doesn't quite find enough to connect anything onto anybody though. Just a little bit of brawl and poke coming out here. We see Shota.
Oh no!
Michello going down to Zoe. Oh no, that is an absolutely massive pick for this fight. We see counter charges coming out. Avian taking out Cristado, Zoe taking out Mello. Oh no, it's a nightmare situation for Luigiana Purchase here.
The only one left is Sombra.
Can Quintessence stall long enough to get anybody back on point? It looks like we're going to see a swap to ball here, and it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. And this map series goes 2-2. C96 take this map.
It's now we're in match point 2-2. We're looking potentially at a reverse sweep, and oh, things are looking good. C9 has truly awoken as a team, playing so incredibly well, and Luigiana now maybe running out of steam, perhaps.
Absolutely, and Zoe there.
This shatter was nice, I gotta say.
Amazing shatter, and Zoe there ending up, taking that early pick onto Michello there, just ends up confirming the fight. That alone allowed for C9 to just pressure Luigiana so much, to just walk in. Their damage after, Michello died just became permanent. There was no immort. There was no, little heals coming out from Mello on Lucio there. So Very tough situation for Louisiana, cementing this as a 2-2 series, and now it looks like we are going on to Oasis as our final map.
Our final map is going to be Oasis and Louisiana. They did show really strong stuff on Nepal, but Oasis a little different than Nepal, but it has a lot of key similarities with some of the maps that things like that are mirrored. So it's honestly could go either way. Louisiana needs to like reawoke, and we need a wellness check on Louisiana right now after the last two maps. C9, they had the momentum, they've awoken, they got the 2 map wins they needed to get this back in their favor. Now they just got to push it over the finish line. Do they have enough steam to do that, though, is the question.
Absolutely. It looks like both teams are ready, so we're going to go into the first map here. It's going to be interesting. I think, you know, in Owl, we've seen quite a bit of brawl coming out on this map, so it'll be interesting to see. It looks like we are currently on University here. Or not University, sorry. Why am I blanking on this map's name right away? Give me just a moment to have a garden. Sorry,
yes,
thank
it's
you.
Garden.
I need just a moment to take a sip of caffeine here. Little bit late for caffeine, but you know, always got to enjoy a nice cup of coffee every once in a while, right?
This is true. I've currently had some milk on my side. It's currently empty, though, as I wasn't expecting this series to be a map 5. But this has been close. And now it looks like C9 is committing to what works for them. The Ryan Zarya, the McCree, the May, and the Lucio Baptiste, where Louisiana is trying to get experimental, trying to find something that works for them. They're running a Pharmacy, which is very strong on Garden. So if you're ever going to play Pharmacy on a map of Oasis, it's going to be this one, Quintessence locking the legs, potentially. And we have a Winston Ball dive composition with Michello. Michello's not going to have a lot of help. He's only going to be able to rely on the soldier's heals, maybe. And it looks like, yeah, they're going to be locking the legs. So Michello could be a really easy rush target for C9. And we'll have to see what happens when they roll out to the point. Ball's going to be able to get there first, of course. And it looks like they're just going straight for the high ground.
You know, this might be something of a comfort pick for Quintessence here, too. We saw him swap onto the soldier to, you know, on that last fight to stall, try and, you know, get some value there. And, you know, seeing him just get 2Ks every fight. Kiniko going in and taking out 2. Quintessence and Michello. Cyberfish ends up taking out Avian, but Michello also goes down. Miko taking out Cristado, and that's currently favoring the side of C96 right now. They end up taking point control here. Are they going to be able to deal with Cyberfish, though? Miko pressuring out Cyberfish, but they don't have very many heals. Only Shizno on point right now, but Cyberfish is going to back out, go and regroup with his team there. Very interesting.
Cyberfish at the beginning there was able to find a nice like separation with his boop onto Avian. That actually got him at the end of the fight. If Kiniko hadn't got those 2 huge picks there, they just wouldn't have won that straight up. They dropped the main heal so fast. So despite that clutch pick, wasn't able to collect on anything. Zoe is a little dangerously close, but he was able to regroup with his team, and now their engagement is fully committed here from both teams.
Absolutely. And I want to point out the target priority here. Habutai taking out Michello. It looks like C96 are just locked on making Michello's life hard. They take out Cristado there, but you know, once they take out the healer, everything else is just easy pickings.
They've identified the key. There's nothing to protect Michello. They don't have a brig, and Quintessence is like, apart from like his heals, he's not going to be able to keep anyone alive. Like there's no peel directly. He's soldier. Michello is an open target if there's no one next to him. And they're capitalizing on that, and they have the ult advantage. Both teams coming up with ults. No ults have been used so far with 60% and counting. 49 Snowda's gonna get maybe a cheeky back cap. No, it's just Zoe alone on point, and he's surrounded by 2 or 3 people now. But that all that's going on. Kiniko and Miko and the rest of C9 are just wreaking havoc on Louisiana's backline.
C96 are just not worried about the point, because once they take out Michello, the fight just ends so quickly that Cyberfish just isn't able to get enough poke in to, you know, give something to engage on, give them bone. But they have 4 alts built up currently. I wonder how they're going to use them.
85%.
Almost 5.
This is going to be a clown fiesta of ults with 90% and counting. Louisiana has to find something, and I'm worried they might use too much going into this, but I'll have to see what they decide to open up with and follow with. It looks like it might be a barrage potentially, and there it is.
Oh my goodness, we see the Immort picked, and then 3 picks coming out on the side of Louisiana there. We see a Blizzard coming out. Michello throwing out the Nano, engaging on the Avian there. It's in overtime, but it looks like with just 2 ults, this might be just enough for Louisiana to flip this
They commit the beat. They're committed to taking this fight. They have both Stalorts alive, and Habutai, who's gonna help him clutch it in the end. Zoe with the high noon in the back. Not gonna find anyone but pressure, and it forces Cruzado to ult, but he's gonna get dropped immediately. That was a lot of damage. Shota gets cleaned up, and it's just Cyberfish and the Mercy. The res onto Quintessence's Soldier. He's gonna get cleaned up pretty fast, and what a turnaround for C9. Now there's nothing left for Louisiana to work with. They all fall, and C9 will win 100-0. Taking 1-0 on Oasis, now in dangerous match point.
You know, we saw initially the Pharah come in and get a really big barrage, but it looked like maybe Louisiana was a little bit too stingy with their ultimates, and they didn't use them until it was a little bit too late before they were able to confirm point there, and that was an absolute nightmare scenario for Louisiana there, losing that first point. Now we're going to University. It's going to be very interesting to see how they handle the Brawl matchup. Just not quite enough there on the side of Louisiana to retake that point there.
Louisiana locking a Doomfist. I sincerely hope that that is not the pick they decide to stick with, because running the Doomfist into this May McCree composition is a tall order to fill. But that being said, Cyberfish has been playing well so far in the Pharah. So we'll have to see how his Doom holds up, and it looks like C9 is going to be just going straight to point here. They don't want to take the small room engagement.
Maybe they're trying to, you know, force Louisiana into that room there. Looks like Cyberfish goes in.
Doesn't clean it up.
Doesn't look like Kiniko takes a pick onto Mello there. Now that they're on point, it's a little bit less of an important pick, but still hurts to see Cyberfish going in, trying to get a couple of slams, but Shizno takes out Quintessence there, and that's a lot of damage. Oh my goodness, 2 more picks coming out on the side of C96 there. Habutai taking out Cristado, Michello going down to Avian, and that cements C96 with point control on this fight here. Again, looking very dire for Louisiana here. Cyberfish just not quite able to connect with anything there, not quite able to confirm any of those picks.
Even on the ult economy side of things, Habutai already almost has Blizzard, Zoe already almost has High Noon, and Kiniko's already about to have Shatter. The only thing that Louisiana has to work with is potentially a window soon. So they have to try and find something, anything, to try and open up some space for them. Kiniko's got his Shatter ready to go. It's going to connect with the Doomfist.
Habutai taking out Cyberfish there. Quintessence taking out the side of C96's Immortality there. Quintessence taking out Habutai there. This might be the break Louisiana needed to take the point there. We see Avian drop down his window. Is that going to be enough to hold on to this point, though? We see Cristado and Kiniko, duking it out on point there. Miko may be in a little bit of a strange position.
Oh, he got a little aggressive.
Kiniko going, charging in, maybe trying to save Miko there, ends up losing his life. Now it might just be a shield difference here. We see Cyberfish go in there, big shatter coming out. Cyberfish doesn't quite connect with anybody, but he gets a big slam there. Miko taking out Cristado. We see a beat coming out on the side of Louisiana here. 70%. Are they going to be
grab though? They might be able to turn around with the grab.
Huge grab. Kiniko go Zoe getting a nice big pick onto Quintessence there.
Beat's committed. And what momentum Louisiana might have had to turn this point around is all gone with 80% and counting. Oh, Kiniko, very risky charge. He's going to get away with it, though. 85% and counting. Louisiana has ult, but they have to get some point presence established soon. It's already at 90%. Habutai's got a Blizzard, and Kiniko has his Shatter, though, for C9. So, a tall order, but this is the last chance that they realistically have to try and get something done.
We see a Blizzard coming out from the side of C96. We see a Noon coming out from...
And they can't touch!
But they didn't touch the point, and this cements C96 as the winners of this series.
C9 with the reverse sweep. After Havana, they just like... Something snapped in this team, and they just woke up after Havana. Like, what an absolute turn, and Louisiana just map after map continue to lose steam. And C9 with the endurance is able to keep it going, and what a series.
So this cements C96 as the current winners of the winners bracket. Now we will be going on to the initial of the losers bracket, and we'll see there who ends up making it to the finals. C96 versus any one of these next few teams.
And once again, what a series. We had some clutch ults. So many like huge, fantastic, like at least 4 or 5 man ults from both sides. Like showed his big ball in Nepal, or big bomb on Nepal. And then just all of the DPS ults on Havana. And a couple of these last key ults here going into Oasis and on Volskaya, the map before. Did you mute the stream? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Altiora Coaching Clash Tournament. We're in the losers semifinals now between Matadors and Not Dismissed. I'm Entropy, and I'll be play-by-playing tonight, and Armin is going to be coloring. We've decided to swap to give Armin's throw to rest after the Map 5 series that we had last, like, just a little bit ago. Armin, how are you doing after that series? That was pretty insane.
My throat is the Sahara Desert, except this time it's the Sahara Desert with coffee growing in it. So, you know,
Well,
a
good
little
luck
bit nicer.
finding good luck finding any water because we're going to Oasis once again to start off this series between Matadors and Not Dismissed. I don't know what to expect. Again, kind of catching him to the tournament quite late. So after, I don't know, if anything's game that we just watched was anything to go by, I'm looking forward to this myself.
Absolutely, you know, seeing Matadors and Not Dismissed play, you know, we saw Makito really favor the Hog there, and we saw some Hog come out from the last series as well. So I think it'll be interesting to see just how much Hog we get to see. Looks like instead of going Hog, though, since they find themselves on Gardens, they're going to end up running with the Ryan Zarya here. Ryan Zarya May, so they're going to, you know, maybe if they find themselves running into the mirror, oh, looks like we have a pause coming out here. But
I made a joke before the production started that we can't control random pauses because of crunch time, but it looks like it's already crunch time. So tonight's broadcast is not brought to you by Cheez It Groups. We are not sponsored. But looks like we're gonna have a pause. Bit of technical difficulties on one of the team's sides. So, I'm expecting to see some brawl. We could also, like we saw last in the last series, we could see maybe potentially a Bara. But I'm kind of just expecting brawl going into this.
absolutely, you know, seeing that we might see that mirror brawl, or I think, you know, we saw Ezra run the Reaper a little bit there, so it might be interesting to see if maybe we see a little bit of variation on the DPS line there. We might see Bowhill running the Kree, and we might see the differences between, you know, Kree and Reaper going into this fight. It'll be very fun to see how this ends up playing out. We also saw Dark Phantom going in on the Moira a little bit as well, so you know, a lot of interesting comp variations. It'll be fun to see how maybe, you know, the immortality field affects fights, or, you know, how maybe the increased resources Moira can provide might
So you do
change
say
the
this, but
outcome.
Dark Phantom is currently locking the Widowmaker.
You know, I hear in Overwatch 2, anything can happen. Widowmaker may become a healer
So
or a
it's like
support.
Ana, where you just headshot your teammate, and then
Yes,
just
if you
full health.
headshot your teammate,
Full health.
temporary immortality buff.
Temporary immortality if you headshot a teammate. You'd love to see it.
I confirmed that with Jeff Kaplan himself. Yes.
You know, the only balance change that I've been screaming about that they should do for April Fools is adding fall damage to the game for April Fools. Because can you imagine how badly that would mess with people? Like, can you imagine Winston drops from high ground to do like a soft dive and he just just falls, like face plants onto the pavement. Like a Roadhog just drops and like it does like a Winston thing where it pushes people away with some damage because he's so fat.
That sounds like a fun change, and I would like a total of ankles broken.
And they should
at
have
the
some
end of
skin passives too. The Lego Bastion skin, if you like stand on top of him, you should take like 100 damage per second or something.
Oh, Legos. Gotta love it. Looks like we have Blank back in the lobby, but we might not quite find ourselves starting just yet. Still paused here, so. See, what are you most excited for in Overwatch 2 Entropy? It's the tank changes.
Content. Honestly, I'm just excited for the story mode because I originally got into Overwatch way back in the day in like the beta and stuff because like the story and like the lore, what lore like was there and like the characters and everything were so cool. And so I've just been like foaming at the mouth for new content and like story for the game because Overwatch's universe is, I think, pretty incredible. And there's like so much potential that they can do with it, and I'm glad to see they're actually trying to like flesh that out with Overwatch 2.
Absolutely. I'm a little bit of an MMO fanatic, so getting to see maybe Overwatch turn and get a little bit more of some maybe MMO characteristics might be interesting too. Seeing the skill trees come out. I think it's going to be fun to see Reinhardt just constantly earth-shattering everywhere.
And it looks like we're finally back into the action of things. Teams picking their heroes at about 10 seconds here, so we'll know what they're running. I'm expecting Brawl once again, but we could see a double bubble or like a pharmacy-based composition, like Dive or something. But let's see. Okay, yep. Looks like both teams are going to be running the Brawl, and I hope to God that they're not locking legs and Genji at the same time. I really hope that's a meme pick.
You never know with these teams,
I like Genji. I'm a Genji stan, but I acknowledge that Genji's not great, especially if you're running it into, I don't know, a Mei, McCree, Ryan, Zarya, Brawl composition. Especially if you don't have an Ana, it's gonna be hard to. You're not gonna have like Nano Blooms to work with. Okay, they are gonna swap to the McCree. They're locking the legs though.
Legs and Kree coming into this fight, where it's going to be interesting to see how double hit scan impacts it. Looks like they're also they also might be able to make it to establish some high ground dominance right away. One thing for sure.
Ooh, we see going up to the high ground, and Magato drops immediately from Killjoy, and now they're going to have this high ground presence all ready to work with, and they're on the back foot. Pokerface trying to get as much as he can. The Lucio gets himself a little bit split. He's probably going to get caught out for that. Somehow slips through the entire enemy team without taking more than like 2 points of damage. That was pretty incredible, honestly, to watch from a third-person perspective, and it looks like Matador is going to have the point control already, and then just missed him making some ground, making some moves. Bohill drops the enemy McCree, and now the window comes online. Bohill finds himself another pick. Killjoy's going to get burned down by Makito. Dark Phantom drops Blank, and Pokerface eliminates Arrowhead. 17% gained, 18%, excuse me. And it looks like Dismissed is going to be actually flipping the point in the long run.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how the Shatter comes into these fights. So Hurricane actually has a window here, but Bohill has, looks like we have yet another pause coming in. Coming into this fight, it looks like we're going to have Window Shatter versus Shatter Noon. It might be interesting to see Bohill maybe go on the flank, try to get the enemy Reinhardt to turn for a bit, and then, Pokerface might be able to get a very big Shatter in. Looks like we had one more player leave the game, Makito leaving, and that's going to reset the graph percentage. It's going to be a very big hit to give me a moment to check the team names here. Sorry, not Dismissed here.
I would like to apologize for the chat with the amount of pauses we've had so far. It's unlucky. If anyone wants to go make a sandwich in the meantime, we're sponsored by Subway. Just kidding. Don't sue me. I'll drop the sponsorship joke. Smile. Anyway, we should be back up and running just a little bit here. As the ult economies, Pokerface and Bohill are gonna have Shatter in the high noon from Dismissed, and Matadors have Window. Excuse me, I'm blanking out a little bit here. Window and Shatter, and that's all they're gonna have.
Absolutely, Matadors here. Window and Shatter. It's going to be a little bit tough because both of their DPS would really prefer to have the high ground, but setting up Bohill on the high ground and Fief on the high ground a little bit. Fief coming in with 73 to Blizzard. That's going to be very impactful coming into this next fight. We might see that just completely decide the next fight as well. It's very interesting to see what these two teams might do. Pokerface as well, a very aggressive Reinhardt we've seen. Last night we saw him get a lot of very good shatters in, block a lot of shatters. It seems like mechanically he's doing very well on the Reinhardt so far. So it'll be interesting to see how Pokerface versus Killjoy ends up going down here.
The main problem lies in the composition from Matadors. They're trying to run this Soldier McCree into a Mei McCree, so they don't have any answers like to counter walls or anything. So if they find a big wall, Soldier is not necessarily the hero that you want to have on your side. You would preferably want to have another DPS hero like Mei, or just literally anything other than Soldier, I think here. To just help assist the front line. Well, so that's putting them at a disadvantage, just inherently.
I think Matadors does have some answers to the Mei wall, right? Arrowhead can jump over and DM Killjoy. Hurricane can jump up and throw down an immortality field. But I will agree that it's a little bit tough not having that wall to respond with to maybe force out some resources yourself. And it really relies on a Statica or Ezra really getting on a really good off angle and maybe getting a pick with that. Whereas with May, you can very easily catch somebody out, especially in these very narrow doorways. It can be very tough if you catch, or if your Ryan gets caught out and separated from your team. You're not going to quite have the ability to save your Ryan necessarily there. So I think it might be interesting to see how that interacts here. But with not dismissed red currently in control of the point, Matadors have a lot of pressure to really find these angles.
Makito is back with 0% ult charge. It got reset because of the DC. So that's a little bit of a saving grace if you are Matadors. That's about all you've got to work with other than the pre-established ults that we mentioned, like the Shatter in the window. And I completely just like blanked out there. I'm sorry. And we have Dismissed, has the Shatter and the McCree ult of their own. They don't have a support ult to work with. But, McCree ult is nothing to sneeze at. People joke about McCree's ult being press Q to die all the time. But as we saw in the last series, Zoe is making great use of it, and if you coordinate it really well, McCree's ult is still quite powerful. So honestly, it could go either way for these teams, especially because we're so early into the round, like 10 and 18% respectively.
Absolutely. Looks like we're getting some ready in chat, so it'll be interesting to see what Makito actually ends up rolling out on. I think it would be good if we saw the D.Va come back, but no, it looks like Makito is locking the Zarya. Not going to quite be back in time for the rest of the team. Looks like Bohill ends up getting picked by Ezra, and they just have to back off of the point here.
Matador's just going in, taking the momentum. They know they have the man advantage because Makito had to reset, so they're going to be capitalizing on that as fast as they possibly can. And now they're going to take this point back 25% to 25%. And counting. The Fifi has his Blizzard now. So that's another ult that they have in the bank to work with here. As they're going to just be running it down mid.
It's a very big ult coming into this fight. It's very fight deciding, so it'll be interesting to see how they end up using it.
And it looks like they're just stuck on the low ground, but the Matadors meets them on the low ground to the drop. Ezra is hiding on the high ground, just trying to find some momentum, or not find momentum, trying to find a pick potentially. Bohill answers with the high noon, doesn't find anything. Ezra with his counter high noon is going to drop and find Bohill in turn. Blank drops Poker Face, and Killjoy's already been dead, so that's both the main tanks down for both teams. And now, once you lose both main tanks, things get a bit scrappy. And Matadors are going to come out on top in the end, though, 60% and counting for the Matadors. But still have ults online.
Very tough loss on the side of not dismissed here. Losing Makito, he's already 90 to grab, but it was an unfortunate loss. It just allowed Matadors to establish point control, and Fief still not using Blizzard. It's on Fief here to really decide the fight here and decide the pace of the fight. That's really going to be the fight deciding ultimate here, I think. So
Dismissed coming up to the high ground and maybe get them off this high ground and take it for themselves. The Blizzard's committed. Arrowhead finds a bomb to the back line. Lamp's going to be responded, and so is the Lamp from Matadors. Finally, the visor is popped. See if he can find anything. Feve hits a headshot onto Arrowhead. Both teams now just trying to find blows. Poker drops the Soldier, and Bohill cleans up the Baptiste, and one by one they fall. So Matadors is gone sent packing with 99%. They only need to win one fight. And that gives them a bit of a luxury. It's dismissed now, just chilling.
We're going to see Beat coming up in this fight. We're going to see Creolts coming up in this fight, mirroring. Currently, it's Shatter versus Window, so it's going to be interesting to see how, if Poker Face can hit like a really big Shatter here, or if Hurricane's going to be able to, Killjoy is going to block it, and Hurricane's going to be able to establish Window, get a lot of good picks here. Killjoy, 94 to Shatter as well.
Ooh,
Poker
the
Face
Shatter. Shatter gets dropped, but so does Killjoy, and both main tanks once again down. Makito's going to have to play the role for now. Estigata is gone, and so is Blank, so that's going to send Matadors packing 60% now and climbing, and they only exchanged one ult. Granted, Matadors didn't use an ult in response there to that fight, so that gives them some sort of like semblance of a W.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Matadors here currently in the lead for ult economy, but Fifi coming up on Blizzard again. Bohill having his ult, as well as Biscuit coming up on the Lucio beat. It's going to be interesting to see.
Ooh! A massive Shatter from Killjoy drops 4 members, and Dark Phantom is the first to fall. You hate to see that. Both high noons mirrored at the same time in a Mexican standoff, and Boyle's down. pulls the trigger first from Ezra. Aesthetica finds the Lucio. Poker finds the D-Mech onto Arrowhead, but loses his life soon afterwards. And now Matadors are going to have control of the point soon. It's up to Feifei to stall it out with Cocoon. The May Ice Block, whatever you want to call it. Now it's just Dark Phantom on the Moira. Just stalling for as long as he possibly can. And he's going to fall really soon. And now Tracer comes back in from Bow Hill. Comes in the beat from Biscuit. Comes in. And now it's the ball 2. 3 members on. Standby for Titanfall as Arrowhead tries to find a remech kill. Is not going to get anything with it. The grab finds 3 members, but a beat is responded with. So no follow-up is going to be able to come through. Medkey is down, and so is Biscuit. Ball comes in from Pokerface to slam onto the McCree to try to pressure him back out, but a big blizzard from Feifei finds 3 people, and 1, 2, trying to make it 3. It's not going to find 3. Killjoy finds a big slam onto the Tracer, so that's going to be one less pest to worry about. Window is answered from Matadors. Esper swaps to the Doomfist to try and get back fast as Killjoy drops 2 more people. Visor comes out to be paired with the Window. It's going to pressure them to dangerously close sightlines. This Phantom is down and no one touches the point as the Wick burns down incredibly quickly. And Matadors are by the skin of their teeth in a very scrappy fight. Almost turned around from dismissed. But in the end, they get him.
It's tough, right? When you have to swap to try and stall, you're maybe swapping to characters you're not as comfortable on, characters that might not have as many or as much impact. And Killjoy just being able to stand there, get a ton of swings in, having no shield or no way to block the shatter, having a way to just confirm a kill or confirm a few kills there, and just take a few people out of the fight gives such a big advantage to Matadors there. Once they finally got that point control, it looks like we had a little bit of ping issues coming out from Not Dismissed here, though. Makito rolling out on the Hog seems like a little bit of a comfort pick. It's going to be interesting to see if Makito can, maybe generate a little bit more value here on the Hog than on the Zarya. Maybe get a critical pick here or there. Harass the Monkey out would be interesting to see. Going for Mega Control as well.
Double bubble for Matadors. It's going to be kind of hard to dive that into Orion Roadhog, so I guess that's the one thing going for the comp, and Bowhill already cleans up alongside the Roadhog Estatica. So that's the Tracer down for Matadors. And so that's going to allow them to get control of the high ground pretty easily without worries of any pressure. Lucio gets jumped down, but he's Lucio and wall riding, and he's going to need to cap this point anyway. So I guess that kind of works in his favor. The Monkey jumps in over their heads to farm his ult charge. He's going to get that primal really quickly. And so he's going to be able to contest the point as no one has control over it right now. The Zarya gets trapped from wall by Fifi, and he's forced into the cocoon. Makito drops Arrowhead, and already there's a window online from Dark Phantom and a McCree ult from Bowhill. Doesn't able to fully commit to it. Makito finds another 2 kills, make that 3, and now it's just the McCree and Ana and the Tracer for Matadors, and that's not going to be enough against all 6 people of Dismissed, and they're going to be taking this point real quick. 5% and counting.
Absolutely. Makito just coming in, swapping onto the Hog, just becoming a menace, getting hooks left and right. It looks like the pick potential of Hog has just been too much for this double bubble to handle. And, Pokerface effectively rotating into their backline as soon as Monkey dives. Monkey also has to just back out of the dive right away because Makito is just there to hook, line, sinker, and shoot out of the way.
Both DPS ults online for Matador is going to try and find something with it. Ezra finds both supports, and that might be the opening they need. It's going to have to be. That's the golden pick that you can get right there. Ryan Pokerface slept in the backline, gets antied and everything. He's going to get cleaned up pretty quickly. Pokerface is able to drop the Brigida in the meantime, so that slows him down just a little bit. Fifi is going to stall for as long as he possibly can. Is he going to cocoon? Yes, he is, and that's going to probably drag it up to over 50%. But he's going to die just as quickly as he entered the Icicle. So that's going to get him to 50%. And now Matadors takes control of the point with a Nano on their side, and that's about it.
Yeah, they have the Nano on their side, but it looks like Not Dismissed just has so much, ultimate advantage here. Fifi coming up on Blizzard plus Makito with the Hog ult. You see Shatter coming out from Pokerface, and Biscuit being able to respond with the beat to whatever they end up throwing out. It's going to be very interesting to see.
They have the luxury of taking this fight how they want to with the amount of ults that they have to work with, and they're just going to walk on point. Arrowhead's going to have to jump in to respond, and the Tracer's going to help him out. Makito drops like a hole like to his face, and a Shatter on the ground finds Killjoy with the cleanup. And now they have the point presence that they need with only a couple of ults used. But Dark Phantom drops the Tracer. Point is swapped back over. Ezra gets cleaned up in the back line, and now Dismissed is in control.
maybe a little bit of over-ulting here, actually, on the side of ND Red, but it's not too bad. They ended up using Shatter and Hog ult there, a Shatter and Whole Hog, which is going to be very interesting. They're coming up on 4 ults yet again, so they're still keeping pretty comfortable pace here in terms of ult economy. Going up to take that high ground there, setting up Bohill on the high ground, maybe even Makido to just be able to, hook people in, maybe pull Hurricane out of the fight before Nano comes out, which is going to be very interesting. Ooh, Poker Face coming in with a big charge.
Arrowhead goes straight in, and Estatica's Pulse Bomb is only going to find the lamp. Not what you exactly were looking for, but 5 ults for Matador still. 85% of counting. They have to find something pretty quickly. Makito gets slept, he's woken up pretty fast. The rally is committed, and they're going to engage off of that with the extra armor health. Makito's looking for a flank, maybe to deny the Winston. The high noon from Bohill is trying to find something in combination with the window. He just walks right past it, gets half the health of Killjoy, and a big grab comes out. If they didn't waste the pulse bomb, maybe they could have found something, but this high noon is going to be enough. It's going to find 3 members, and the lamp's gone. Esper gets himself 4 kills. Looking to make it 5. Poker Face with a nice fire strike on the Statica, but there's no way that he's going to be able to turn around with just 1 kill like that. So 99% to 40% in counting.
Absolutely. Statica coming up on ult, Poker Face coming up on ult as well. I think that high noon there, or that high noon duel there, really just, cemented the importance of high ground there. Ezra just being able to sit up there on high ground. Poker Face wasn't quite able to shield everything there, and as a result, Ezra ended up getting...
Arrowhead gets hooked in, but he is able to jump out. I thought he was going to die there pretty quickly. He's used all of his abilities. He's still able to jump out just in time before he gets pressured a little too much. Poker Face going really low, but saved by the lamp. He's looking for a shatter opportunity. He's going to find 4 members, and that's going to be what they need. Estatico answers with a pulse bomb, though, and Arrowhead drops the main tank for dismiss. And that's going to turn this probably around for them unless something happens. Makito drops Arrowhead, and now it's just a big stagger fight in a 3v4. Makito makes it. Oh, he almost makes it, but a clutch bubble almost makes it an even fight. High noon from Ezra is going to zone them back. Collects Makito alongside Killjoy, and 86% and counting. Things are looking really dangerous for Dismiss now. Matador is on the uphill battle to try and win this. This high noon has to be big, and Makito is able to find 2 kills with it, but Arrowhead drops him in return, and it's just Lucio trying to stall it for as long as he can. Poor Biscuit doing all he can to draw this out, and he's going to be alive. He's going to make it. Okay, he's in time for his tanks to come back, so now it's a 3v3. But the rest of Matadors is on the way back too. Don't make no mistake there. Ball comes in from Killjoy. The Pulse Bomb collects Dark Phantom, and that's a support down. That's not what you want to see if you're dismissed. Doom comes in to try and do something and find a one-shot punch. He's going to find the Tracer, and that's a good start, if anything. Both teams still alive, and a Primal is currently wreaking havoc on left side of point, forcing them to back up just a little bit. They can't push off this blank. Finds Fifi, and Bohill's gone too, so that's both DPS down. It's just the Ball and a Baby Diva. The Titan comes, excuse me, the Remake comes in. I was about to do my Titanfall reference again. It wasn't going to work. Both tanks are still alive, but Poker Face drops as I say that, and so does Biscuit. He falls too, both at the hands of Ezra. And still, they're clinging on to life. The high noon may be enough to finally turn this around. It's going to clean up Dark Phantom, and Matikito is down. It's just Tracer, and after which Doom is going to try and fall in. It's just the Doom now. And Matadors, in one of the scrappiest overtime fights I've seen in quite a while for Oasis. Out of breath and all, they win this map 2-0, making the series 2-1. Or excuse me, 1-0.
Absolutely. It was very interesting there, watching not Dismissed Red there, maybe try to go on a little bit of a comfort pick, but right here, look at this. Excellent kill cam there. Just the value of high ground illustrated in a single clip right there. But yeah, looking at that, I think again, we saw ND Red try to go in there to stall with picks that they're maybe a little bit less comfortable with, and just having these characters that might have a little bit more powerful ultimates, or that they might be a little bit more comfortable on, just stalling on the point there, ended up losing ND Red the fight.
The entirety of Matadors has disappeared from the lobby screen.
Oh no.
Interesting. Well, they're 1-0 in the series. We'll get that back. That might just be a bit of a. Someone might have left his group by accident, and yep, they're back. Because they're all 6. Both teams are 6 stacking, so somebody could have just left by accident. It can happen. Anyway, that's the series going 1-0. Matadors is up 1. That was Oasis, and we'll see on the next map how things go. Both teams looked a little close there. I could honestly see this being another close series. Much to the dismay of my throat as that might be. After that overtime fight, that was a lot. But hopes are high for Dismiss because they're playing really well so far. That can't be understated. I don't want to undersell Dismissed here, despite the fact that they lost 2-0.
Absolutely, and Matadors there looks like they just kind of stuck to a little bit more traditional comps, and they ended up maybe winning out there, at least on that city center point there. Very interesting to see that double bubble versus the brawl matchup. Initially it looked like Not Dismissed Red might have had a little bit of an early lead, but then, you just had like so many ults coming out from the side of Matadors. Mahito wasn't quite able to keep up with the hook pressure. So it looks like we're moving on to Eichenwald, though. A lot of different comps you can run on this map, but I think, if Plat is anything to be understood, we'll see Brawl.
We'll see, honestly, anything. They ran the Rider on Hug. Eichenwald's pretty good if you want to run a Doomfist for the funny Doomfist engagement. If you're on the defense and you want to get them over the rooftops from point B in the castle. But see how this goes. It looks like we're going to be going in pretty soon here. Matadors on the attack and Dismissed on the defense first. We'll see how they stack up on Eichenwald. Like you said, realistically, they're just probably going to run Brawl, which is the safe option here. Second point's where things get really interesting, though, because of just the sheer high ground difference.
Absolutely. No, I think, if you run Brawl, you really have to be aware of those rotations, where to take, what to take. They're very tough rotations. A lot of times you'll see teams just take like very ineffective rotations or just, continue running into ultimates and, getting wiped. And it can be a very frustrating experience. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not these teams vary up the rotations through Castle maybe, or even maybe see some comp swaps onto something like Double Bubble to try and deal with some of that high ground pressure.
In 5 seconds, we will know, and it looks like... Yep, it looks like a brawl from both sides. Ryan Diva on the side of Matadors, and Ryan Zarya on the side of Dismissed on their defense.
Absolutely.
As a little bit of micro, I don't know if that was caught. Poker Face tried to charge out of spawn, but accidentally hit the wall, so he swapped off and then swapped back to Ryan just so we could have his charge back. I saw that, Poker Face. Nice try. Anyway, 20 seconds remaining. For counting down here, yeah, that's a pretty standard brawl. Interesting to note, they're running a McCree Hanzo on the attack for Matadors instead of the May. So we'll see if that ends up being a problem.
I think it'll be interesting to see on second point, Estatica maybe getting some of that high ground pressure if they manage to take this first point. Being able to kind of attack from these separate angles, I think it's going to be interesting to see whether or not that's going to be enough to make up for the lack of Maywall there. Mahito, though, on the Zarya here, it's going to be interesting to see if the Diva is maybe able to provide a little bit more consistent value. Already using Personal Bubble as well there. You don't like to see it.
They just walk straight through without any fear of a wall. And Killjoy's going to be taking this point presence, and the fight's falling off point. Fefe tries to get a wall, and that splits him up a little bit, but the Baptiste is ready for the lamp to save his team. And so that's going to keep him alive for now. Statica's on an off angle to get the lamp, but the D-Mech comes through. Arrowhead's lost his mech, and that's an off tank effectively down for Matadors, and that's going to send them packing back up just a little bit. If they don't find a kill, they're going to have to go back under this bridge almost. They do find Poker Face, and that's a massive pick, so they're going to be able to roll off the momentum of that. Window committed from Hurricane, and that is going to zone off there pretty much the entire point. Esper cleans up Biscuit, so now support's down for Dismissed. Killjoy cleans up Bowhill, and one by one, Matadors is going to get the kills that they need to secure the first point of Eichenwald.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out here is Mahito just popping bubbles super early. If you're running Zarya into the Diva, you really have to be timing these bubbles exceptionally well to try and make up for some of the difference between, bubbles and DM and some of that high ground mobility in it. It looks like Mahito is just popping these bubbles left and right and just way too early, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that stacks up.
Both teams are not making any swaps, which is pretty understandable. If you look at the ult economy on the side of Dismissed defense, they have Blizzard, High Noon, Window, almost beat, and both tank ults. Let's see what they decide to use first. I would probably use the Shatter if it were up to me. They're kind of just going to chill in this high ground, wait for the card to move through so that all members are kind of grouped up. Maybe they're going to look for the High Noon first. They've got ults for Matadors, though. Yep, there's the High Noon from Bowhill. Lamp has responded, and he's not going to be able to find anything with it. Fefe accidentally drops in. Poker Face drops, and he's going to get a Shatter blocked. Killjoy didn't use his, so he's going to find a big slam, collecting 4 members of the Dragons for extra follow-up. Poker Face does manage to find a kill on Ezra, but is it going to be enough to help stabilize things? Because they don't have a Lucio due to the Dragons from Estica. Hurricane drops Poker Face, and I think that's going to spell the end. But Bowhill finds Hurricane in the backline, so that'll slow him down a little bit. This will be a little helpful to help dismiss his case here. But things aren't looking so hot. This payload with 4 minutes is rolling up to the bridge already.
And Arrowhead, she's just found so much value denying these angles on the DPS, right? And being able to DM that, as well as, hopefully we see yet another big bomb there. Ezra with High Noon coming out. Ooh, Thief throwing out the Blizzard there.
Yejin with the Blizzard and the bomb takes the brunt of the shields, but Ezra's on the high ground with no answer from Dismissed. Finds the Reinhardt and the Baptiste. Killjoy cleans up Fifi, and 1-by-1 Dismissed again falls, and that's going to be point 2 going to Matadors. And now
Exceptional ult combos there from Matadors as well. They used the bomb to, maybe take out some resources. Hurricane used Immort on that, and then Ezra comes in after all the resources are taken out and picks 2 with it, so...
Also got rid of all of his shield because Poker face tanked the bomb, so they had nothing to work with for Ezra's High Noon once the bomb was found. Wall tries to split up, but Killjoy finds another big slam, finds 5 members. The Dragons follow up 2, and everyone is down. Matadors has all 6 left alive, and as the cart rounds the final corner, things are looking really desperate for Dismiss, but they have 2 tank ults. It's just a question of can they touch now.
Matador is just expertly weaving these ults in left and right, as well as coming up on the Baptiste ult and Lucio
Big
ult.
slam! Poker finds the Shadow that's going to find 2 kills, and that's going to find the crucial ones that they need. The Reinhardt and the Lucio fall, so now they have nowhere to run and no ability to. Ezra gets launched into the backline by the Junkrat swap. They also have a Reaper now instead of a Mei. And that's going to send them packing with 4 minutes, and they're making this real close. And they get the D-Mech in the end, so that's also nice. They're going to leave her out, too.
Absolutely. So coming into this next fight, we're going to see the Grav. That's going to be very, very important. If Arrowhead can eat the Grav, that might just completely shut down any chance of not dismissed here, chance of holding the point here. Dark Phantom has window though, so that might also be enough. Blank having the beat might be good for the engager. No. Ezra coming up on the ult as well.
They're not ulting first. Dismiss needed to ult there first while the Diva didn't have mech so they could get the bomb off. The grab is there, but it's too late. Esper finds the kills, and 1-by-1, the rest of Dismissed is gone, so there's no way they can follow up with it. It's just Poker to touch, and he can't. That was a huge mistake. They needed to get something ulted first. They kind of just let Matadors walk over the space that they had control of. They just let him come through, despite them not having an off tank, because their Diva was out of mech.
Absolutely, and I think right there we saw illustrated perfectly the differences between Diva and Azaria there. Well, Makido wasn't quite able to eat as much. Arrowhead was getting a lot of value with that bomb. We saw Arrowhead expertly weave that bomb in with Killjoy's Shatters and Ezra's High Noons. And, these exceptional ult combos look like they're just rolling over and winning fights, as well as Makido's reluctance to use Zarya's ult there. Very tough. You don't like to see it on the side and not dismissed here. But we do see a critical swap onto Diva here for Makido. Interesting to see. Maybe we'll finally see a little bit more of a competitive fight here with the Diva, maybe able to provide a little bit more consistent value, a little bit more value out of the DM. Ezra and Estatica both on the legs and the Hanzo. So it'll be interesting to see how that matchup goes, or if maybe Fief can provide a lot of value on the Kree here. It looks like we're mirroring supports, though. Yeah. Can Estatica maintain that high ground and maintain kind of that rotational pressure? And can Ezra get that pick pressure, or is, Kree just going to be too much value coming into this fight?
Estatica absolutely determined to lock these legs. But you have faith, making it work so far. And Airhead's a little in deep. Woo! Almost pays for it, but that's gonna send it back just a little bit. They're stabilizing right now, giving up the space as both teams don't have a Mei, so they can kind of not have to worry about chokes too much. And Bohill finds an arrow onto Hurricane, and they're still gonna push up. But yeah, they're gonna push up with that. Poker can take control of the point, and that's a nice disengage from Matador as Ezra finds a kill onto Bofra to give him some momentum. Arrowhead loses her mech, and so pretty well-established point presence already. 2 ticks given up. Are they gonna touch? Estica with the legs gets stunned before he can make it. So the point's gonna fall into the hands of Dismissed. And that's gonna be a pretty easy fight. Almost 6 minutes in the time bank for them to push it to second, which is one of the longest points. for any
Yeah.
hybrid map.
Getting picked so early there, Hurricane getting picked by Bowhill there, it almost doesn't matter what Bowhill does after that, because, you know, once you lose the Baptiste, it almost doesn't matter what you do. You just take that fight as long as you can, and you're just going to have so much more sustain. I just really quickly want to point out how, you know, we see Makito on the cart here pushing. It's very good to see Diva on the cart there, because, you know, Diva can just kind of, you know, move in, engage on the fight with her shift. You know, she doesn't really necessarily need to be directly in the fight to get as much value, so. And she can kind of weave her way in and out of the fight. See a lot of poke going back and forth here. Ezfra has the Hanzo ult here, so hopefully we see that come out.
Ezfra's Dragon comes out. Oh, the lamp is going to be able to save them from it in the nick of time. Ezfra still has control of the high ground, and a big slam from Pokerface drops every single person who's on the low ground. And is the cleanup gonna be there from Matadors? Yep, they're gonna clean him up with a big tactical visor. Finally, the legs paying off, but Bowhill says, no, that's enough soldier out of you. And is gonna take him out before they do end up losing this fight in the end. So Matadors puts their feet in the ground and is able to hold them for now.
Yeah, right there, not dismissed, not taking the high ground there. It's gonna be very unfortunate. You know, the high ground is so important. We saw Statica just get like the perfect angle for his visor there. So it's going to be very unfortunate there. Matador is just retaking this high ground and holding on to it for dear life. They're just going to get so much poke value out of this. It's going to be so hard. You just have to go engage on that high ground.
You're going to meet him halfway or possibly turn him around. The Dragons come out. You're going to force them off in a very big split. That's a very nice split. Dragon Pokerface gets launched off of the high ground. Fefe cleans up Killjoy, though, in the meantime, but Pokerface is in a lot of danger. He's going to get saved by his team, though. I think he's going to owe his team about $10 on PayPal for that save. That was quite impressive. The window comes out, and Arrowhead's just vibing the backline with a bomb that's going to be shielded from Pokerface in response. But they're still going to get kills from that because of the split angles. Standby for Titanfall. This is Fefe gets squashed by Arrowhead's remake. And that's once again going to go for the side of Matadors. 3.5 minutes, though. Still a respectable time bank. All things considered, and ults are pretty even-ish on both sides.
Yeah, even ults here, maybe a little bit of favor on Matadors here, you know, seeing that beat for the responsible Biscuit, she's about to build her beat as well, so almost breakneck even. It's going to be interesting to see if Estatica can maybe build their ult fast enough to influence the fight here and maybe trade some ults in that manner.
If you're just tuning in, Dismissed is actually attacking and not defending, but despite the fact of what side the map they're actually playing on, Biscuit falls, loses her life to the Ezfra's Dragons. The big bomb comes out, the beats responded, and so is the lamp, though, so that a lot of this was actually out from one bomb. The cleanup's gonna find onto Estatica, but Pokerface loses his life, and now things are looking really scrappy once you lose your main tank. The window's committed from Dark Phantom. Dragon's also committed as well. The Shatter is finding a lot of people in the backline, and the kills are coming in finally. And it looks like they're going to get this cart moving over to the bridge, but there is some time potentially for a recontest from Matadors. So we'll see if they do.
Possibly, you know, we saw Biscuit go there on the cart, distract, pull a lot of attention there, to the point where Bowhill, or Ezfra went to engage and just got, you know, killed by the Dragons there, so it's unfortunate to see.
Pokerface drops Killjoy with a hammer to the face, but Mikito loses her mech. But despite everything, kills are coming in for Dismissed, and they're going to get this point secured, despite how much stall they might be doing. For Matadors, 3.5 minutes to get this cart moving, and Thufin the last point.
Looks like Not Dismissed is still going to have less time in the time bank than Matadors, but the question is how much? We see Makito there just trying to build up mech. We see roughly even ults from both sides, but Estatica and Hurricane might be able to just eke out that little bit more value from the window ult there. We see Makito coming back with the mech, so very interesting to see how this fight's going to engage.
Window and the visor pop, but Poker's looking for a slam, and it only connects with Killjoy's shield. Bomb in the backline is going to find anyone. Not enough to get anything done. Hurricanes finds Poker, though, and the Dragons come out on the side of Dismissed. It's not going to find anyone other than some minor displacement. They don't have a main tank right now, and they don't have an off tank either, as Mikito loses the mech. And once again, they're sent packing. Matadors is going to put their feet in the ground, and this is kind of dangerous. They need to cap with Dismiss needs to cap with time, or else they could be looking at the draw because they have over 3 minutes for Matador's time bank.
Absolutely, just one of those maps.
Ezra's hiding for his tire. Do you see that? Oh.
It'll be interesting to see what angle Ezra comes in with this tire for. Fief there in the background with Soldier ult as well. We see the Soldier window ult coming out.
Aesthetica's down, but will the tire find anyone? He's waiting for the lamp. The shatter is absolutely massive. Still waiting on the lamp to go down. He's gonna find 4 people with the tire. And that's a play to send into Fresh Nuts. They're not gonna stagger Makito. Pretty respectful. I tip my hat to that. That's gonna be quite nice. Less than 2 minutes remaining and no ults to work with for now.
Just the sheer power of Junkrat ult there, being able to kill 4. It didn't matter if they ended up engaging with Visor window there. They got a couple of picks off that Visor window, but Ezra comes in and says, absolutely not. This is my cart. This is my space. Get out of here. Go back to spawn.
Once again, they're meeting him back again. Oh, the remake almost finds Poker Face right in his face. They're pushing him back a little bit though. Fifi connects the kill, connects his bullets onto Killjoy. It drops him. Makito finds the lamp. Esper's being a little cheeky in the corner with Junkrat to try and find a kill. He's gonna get himself cleaned up, and his tire canceled too. That's real bad. Estica pops the visor, and a big slam for Poker Face finds 3 members. The follow-up is gonna come through. It's just Arrowhead, and it's just gonna be Reinhardt, maybe. Yeah, they're waiting to draw it out as long as they can. Under a minute left. They have to cap. This is going to be one heck of a stall if they can push this to overtime, because that would be what they need to get this into a draw-win scenario. It's just Tracer right now, and Lucio. Just Tracer, actually, as I say that. Hurricane's back with a lamp. A tire's coming in from Bowhill. Is going to demech Arrowhead. Tracer staying alive for a long time. Estica finally loses the life. Killjoy finds a big slam, and that's going to buy enough time for the Doomfist to come in and maybe do some follow-up. A beat is responded from Biscuit, but it's not enough to... Okay, the bomb, excuse me, isn't enough, but the Biscuit is able to keep everyone alive, and they will cap with time. 23 seconds specifically, and that's going to keep things from being a draw or win. So they're still in it for this map.
Absolutely, Matador's there, enjoying that extra minute time bank there. 1 minute really isn't quite enough there to it's enough to get a good push in, but is it enough for them to confirm maybe an extra point, which is what they might need to prevent Matadors from just taking this map outright? Looking at the time bank situation here, it's going to be so tough for Not Dismissed here to get a sizable amount of progress with just 1 minute. It's going to be interesting to see if maybe they come out with some very high impact ults, maybe an Echo Copy. It looks like they're rolling out on the Pharah, going in, trying to get a lot of spam in, maybe get a fight-winning barrage to win out this first point here. Matador is sticking with the same comp. Ezra and Estatica still on the Legs Creed combo. So it's going to be interesting to see how maybe they pressure out the Pharah, or if the Pharah is able to effectively take angles here and, get the proper amount of spam needed to win the fight.
Dismissed has to get something done quickly. They only have a minute, as you said. Whereas Matadors have, they just have a normal time bank to work with. They're chilling. But
absolutely.
What they're probably looking for is the damage boosted rocket, and that can clean someone up real quick. So that's what they'll be looking for. Arrowhead commits the boosters really fast, and that could put him in a dangerous spot if they speed onto her. Oh, she gets that with just like 1 HP. That was almost a throw play from Arrowhead. Wow, that was close. And off that momentum, they're able to push underneath the bridge. A bit of displace from a Bowhill ends up moving them back together. Not going to find a lot of value. The lamp's already committed, so that's pretty good. 30 seconds left to go. And PP finds Killjoy, and that's a good start of a pick. Big displacement from the boot from Bowhill. And Arrowhead gets cleaned up in the back by Dismiss, and 4 people is all that stands between Dismiss and the payload. Esra's going on a flank, maybe to try and find something. Anything. Gonna find the Mercy, potentially. That's a huge start to a pick, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. It's just the Lucio and the Soldier right now. That being said, Bap and the Reinhardt are back. Bowhill finds 2 essential kills right here. And will that be enough to turn the turn the tides of the battle for the team? It just might be. The lamp is out, and Poker Face finds 2, and the barrage is forcefully committed. So they're not going to have that to work with. Fifi has his visor, and they are going to cap the payload here in overtime. And you don't get any more time in hybrid, so they have to keep planted on this payload.
Absolutely, and it's going to be so tough for Bowhill here. If Ezra and Estatica can get onto the high ground there, Bowhill's just not going to have anywhere to play. It's going to be super tough, especially flying that high in the sky. It looked like, Fifi managed to get a critical pick there on that first point. But is 1 minute going to be enough time to push the cart far enough to stop Matadors with their almost 4 minute time bank here? Fifi coming in with the visor, Hurricane coming in with Ezra on the Estatica as well.
Ezra.
And
Ooh, Ezra's looking
Visor.
for. Oh, he's gonna clean up Bohill, maybe. Yep, and he's gonna go for the high noon in the back. Now there's nothing to fly up and contest him to. Nothing's gonna find it. A nice eat from Makito. Cleans up the high noon. The lamp is pressured out in the window. Visor from Matadors is gonna be able to pressure out a lot of resources. The bomb, is it enough to get the job done? Doesn't find anyone. And so still in the back line. Eska with a Visor. And a big slam from Poker, though, is gonna try and turn the tides of the battle. It's not going to be enough. As one by one, everyone falls, and Matadors put their feet on the ground once more and say, this is as far as you're gonna get. Potentially, they still have a Pharah and a Baby Diva to deal with. They still have a Pharah and a Baby Diva to deal with. This isn't good, actually. They're gonna get a recontest here. Never mind. Unless someone touches it, no one touches the cart. So, oh my god. And a big barrage. If they just touched the cart there, that would have been potentially point 2 secured, at least a lot more progress. That's really tragic to see.
Absolutely. You know, I think we saw masterful ult usage or masterful play from both sides, right? We saw Matadors weaving ultimates together. You know, we saw Ezra drop in the backline to try and get a high noon, and then immediately afterwards, we saw Window come down and Visor come out, trying to capitalize off of some of the distraction that came from Ezra, you know, sacrificing with the noon in the backline there. But it didn't look like it was quite enough. And, you know, masterfully, not dismissed Red, just hiding from these angles. So Estatica couldn't quite get a pick with the Visor. You know, trading ults there, though. It looked like in the end, though, Matadors were able to win out in that brawl over time. It was looking a little bit dicey there with Bohill on the Pharah, still chilling on cart, and, you know, Baby Diva maybe getting one of those famous Titanfall remakes. But it's going to be interesting to see. We see Not Dismissed here running out with the Ash Soldier combo. And then on the Matador side, they're also deciding to run the Pharah here. So we're going to see dual hit scan versus Pharah Mercy again. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out on the front line as well. Are Matadors going to be able to get enough poke in? Or are Not Dismissed going to decide to just ignore the Pharah and engage on the front line and win the fight there?
All bets are off. They have quite the uphill battle with quite this time bank in comparison to stop, which is a good bit of progress. They did cap the payload and get it a decent way, so they have something to work with here. They don't have the full hold necessarily, but it would be nice if they could. Both Ryans meeting each other face. Ezra drops Bohill, though, and that's pretty dangerous for the terms of pressure. Ash does a lot of pressure, and if you don't have an Ash, then you could be looking at a bit of I keep saying an uphill battle. I'm just going to sound like a broken record. I'm just going to stick to it. Both Reinhardts meeting in fisticuffs galore on the point. And the pressure is just overwhelming for Dismissed. The window has responded. They're still staying alive somehow. From the clutch support, maybe. Still having point presence. The Espra has a barrage on the back line. He's going to find one biscuit. The lamp is able to save everybody else in the meantime, but one by one, Dismissed is going to be falling. And Matadors pushes them back. Having to commit a lot of resources, though, in the meantime. All that's left is Baby Diva and Bohill on the Tracer to potentially stall this out, or is Bohill just going to chill? Going to choose to stall. Never mind. He gets killed. Right. Points capped. No time gained. 2.5 minutes, and quite the ult economy for the side of Matadors. They have quite a lot to work with.
Sorry about that. I had my family going on in the background there. Arrowhead coming in with ult. Estatica and Blank both have ults as well. The Valk Visor might be a powerful combo. Arrowhead almost getting out of mech there, though.
She does lose the mech.
You hate to see it from Arrowhead there. Thief and Biscuit coming in. Biscuit's got her ult. Thief coming in with the Visor as well. If Thief can get an effective high ground here, this might be all she wrote for Matadors for this push.
Still under 2 minutes, and Bohill's getting pressured by the pharmacy. He's forced to lose the high ground. Ezra still looking for him. He finds the kill, actually, and completes it. And now on the back foot is Dismissed. Both Visors committed, and it looks like Phoebe's going to drop Mercy before himself gets killed by Estatica. Arrowhead commits the bomb. Gonna find the DMAC onto Makito. A slam connects with Hurricane, but that's all that she wrote. And it's Matadors pushing it up to the final point. Bohill's going to be the only one potentially to touch. A nice headshot, though, into the far. That might give some momentum. Finds 2 kills. This could be the turnaround that they needed. The Tracer is there to try and touch. The res comes out, though, and that's dangerous. That undoes a lot of work that Bohill just did. It's just Tracer and the Moira and the Lucio Ball and Diva coming back just in time to help maybe stall. But Matadors is still finding kills one by one. Estatica vibing on the high ground with the Hurricane, excuse me, on the high ground with the Window, vibing with the Pharah. And one by one, they drop members of Dismissed. And despite the clutch kills and plays, they try to come up with Matadors wins and takes the map, which makes the series 2-0 in their favor.
Matador is just asserting dominance in this series here. They look like they're hungry to go to the winners bracket there, go to the finals. So it'll be interesting to see. Amazing shatter coming out here from Killjoy.
Sorry, if you're a Reinhardt main, your brain just released insane amounts of dopamine by watching that. That was quite satisfying. There's some nice cards too.
Absolutely. We saw a lot of good play from both sides there, but not Dismissed. Just wasn't quite able to hold on to it there. Ezra just managed to get so much value on the Pharah there, and they weren't quite able to deal with the Pharah. Maybe if they engaged the front line a little bit faster, a little bit more aggressively, they might have been able to find a win on the front line, and then, they'd have a lot of time in between the fight to deal with Pharah, but it didn't look like they quite knew what they wanted to do in that fight. So Matadors capitalized on that and end up taking Eichenwald home.
We're going to have to be going into our next map to see how the series continues. Dismissed is playing well, and they're coming up with a lot of these clutch answers, but will they be able to keep this energy and the momentum up as we go into Dorado? We have a side swap, so it looks like not Dismissed is going to be attacking first, and Matadors will be on the defense first.
Yeah, Dorado coming into this map, I'm pretty sure we'll see a pretty strict double bubble on this map, but, considering these teams, we might see maybe some double shield coming out. We might see a little bit of brawl coming out. You never know. Third point's always a fun time to, whip out the brawl, maybe try and take some of that high ground. So it'll be interesting to see where these teams end up landing in terms of compositions. And, maybe we'll even continue to see some Pharah gameplay here.
Matadors swapping their icons. I know we probably can't see lobby, but they're swapping their icons in synchronization, really showing off the synergy even in between maps.
Absolutely. Sometimes you've just got to change the icons, try and assert some dominance between maps, though. But, not Dismissed. I don't know if they're going to take that this map. They might try to turn it around. They're going to do their best, and they're going to work their hardest to, change this. And, since, they end up getting, and not Dismissed end up getting the first attack here. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, how they handle it, what rotations they take. Maybe we'll see some interesting comps as well. It looked like they were going into something of a double bubble there, but I guess we won't know for the next 20 seconds.
Dorado is one of those maps that really does, it's such a high ground diff. Like, you can run Brawl, typically on the first and the third, like barely on the first, but it's really hard to, unless you only play for the last half of this point. But typically you'll see the double bubble and the dive because of just the sheer high ground. And as we can see, both teams locking double bubble. Matador's looking out of the spawn with it. And on the defense side, we can clearly see from there because attacker spawn can kind of meme pick. So on the defense, we are going to be seeing the double bubble. Arrowhead on the Monkey, Killjoy. Wasn't Killjoy main tanking last map or two? I guess they've decided to switch up the main and off tank roles. I'm in favor of. This could be fun.
I think Arrowhead and Killjoy, Killjoy might be a little bit of a better Reinhardt, and Arrowhead might be a little bit of a better Monkey. So they're both kind of flex tanks, I guess, if you could say something like that. It'll be interesting to see the matchup between, Bowhill on the Kree and the Statica going in on to Dark Phantom and, Fifi on the Echo. It's going to be interesting to see if Ezra can maybe harass the Echo out of the fight, or if Echo is just going to be a little bit too much for him to deal with.
The gates are open, and Pokerface jumps up to the high ground right away, trying to get some pressure. He's going to go again. Try and pressure Arrowhead off. Arrowhead's still going to stay there. Drops down a little bit, and getting herself quite low, but is able to get out safely. And Nade is going to stop Bowhill or Poker from making any unwanted advancements. Esper cleans up Fifi, though, and that's a decent start here for this defense. That gives them what they need. Poker's anti once again, and Arrowhead's going to push out that momentum, getting dangerously low. Bowhill finds a nice headshot onto Statica, though, and that could be some momentum to turn this maybe around. Arrowhead misses the jump onto the high ground and is forced to now play the low ground. Pokerface going onto the high ground to deal with Blank, but he's really out of position. He's going to get himself out safely. Fifi cleans up Blank, though, and that's what you want to look for. On the Echo, Echo's so good at cleaning up, and then Arrowhead's back in, surrounded by everyone. Esper cleans up Poker, though, and that could be a nice turnaround. Yep, with this Nano, that's going to secure the turnaround, I think, for the defense here.
Yeah, this fight's just been going on for so long. There hasn't been a lot of room to breathe here. Coming into this, we see Dark Phantom coming out with Nano, Bohill coming out with ult, Fifi coming out with ult as well. A lot of critical ults coming out from the side of Not Dismissed here. But there are also a lot of critical ults coming out. Arrowhead going down to Poker Face.
Arrowhead getting a little greedy at times here and paying for it. High Noon from Ispra finds 3 members. Even though he drops himself, it's probably not going to be enough, and Matadors is going to, like, once again, slam their feet into the ground and say, this cart moves no further. 2 minutes left to go. Try again, lads.
Absolutely. You know, we notice Arrowhead finds herself in some very aggressive situations, but, you know, sometimes that aggression, it might just be what you need to get your crease set up for a massive High Noon, getting a 3-piece there. But, you know, we're seeing Copy come out from the side of Not Dismissed. We're seeing Valt coming out. We're seeing Primal coming out. We might even see Grav come out. So it's going to be interesting to see how they weave their ults into this fight.
And 2 monkeys now in play for Dismiss. Will it be enough to do something? But the Grav is out, and it's going to find both. And the Pulse Bomb connects. It's going to end Copy and Fifi's life, and even Poker all the way through Primal. The card is making progress, though, as 3 members are on the back line. They clean up Estatica. If they find enough kills, maybe... Oh, Bohill gets slept and bopped away, so his High Noon's not going to get anything done. He's going to get cleaned up. Shortly afterwards, potentially, yep, Hurricane drops Makito, but Dark Phantom finds a kill onto Blank, and scrappy as this fight is, the payload made a little bit of progress. 1.5 minutes left to go, and Feifei swaps to Genji.
Yeah, Matador is just excellently. I think, you know, we might see Not Dismissed just trying to win, trying to get this last little bit of progress, maybe build up a Nano Blade so that they can just try and confirm a fight win here, but it's going to be tough. The question
Building
is,
Dragon Blade in 1 minute is quite the order.
can they build Dragon Blade before Killjoy ends up building Grav to stop the ultimate? That is the question.
Makito's gonna have this grab, and this grab has to be huge. If this grab doesn't find anyone, it might just be all over the push as the Nano Monkey comes in. Arrowhead in the back line, looking to get some kills. Solo grab actually finds 3 members in total. They walk into it. Bohill drops Arrowhead, and Killjoy is found shortly afterwards. The cleanup is there. Esper's in the back for a flank High Noon. He's gonna have to come up with a 6-man, though, as the rest of his team has been eliminated. Fifi, cleanup crew on aisle 3, is gonna find the rest of the members that weren't able to be killed by everyone else. You can see the assists stacking in the feed. It's just Ezra. Okay, he's actually not going to be able to make a play and gets cleaned up by Bohill and the rest of his team, helping him through with support. 2.5 minutes to get through to point 2.
Absolutely. We see Estatica coming up on the Pulse. We see Ezra coming up on the Noon. Bohill has Noon as well. Poker Face building the Primal right away. It's going to be interesting to see how these ults stack up into the fight. Doesn't look like anybody's taking the high ground. Okay, Poker Face and Fifi managed to go up there, take the high ground, and maybe get a little bit of harassment. This might just be the little boost that Fifi needs to build Dragon Blade to try and confirm this next point.
Trying to jump up and deny the high ground as they might. Poker Face is still chilling up there. Arrowhead's looking to meet him halfway. But they're still going to take this high ground quite convincingly. Arrowhead jumps in again, trying to farm up this Primal. She's going to get it. In the end, Pulse Bomb connects and finds both supports. Estatica with a huge pulse line in the back is going to be the opener that this team needs to push through and clean up the rest of the team. Just under 2 minutes left to go. And they're about to have Blade, but they're only halfway on their Nano still. So that's going to take a bit of time to charge.
Yeah, that's going to give Killjoy the opportunity that he needs to build Grav here for the Nano Blade. Otherwise, they might not even need it. Hurricane could also go in for the sleep. Blank could go in and hit the stun, hit the boop away.
Oh,
and
Ezra
coming out with the ult as well.
Ezra, he's in a cheeky spot behind the church. I don't know if we can see him, but he's standing there. He's looking for it. Arrowhead's jumping in to make room for it. Ezra finds the Ana, and that's still good. Kills the kill no matter the skill. Gets one of the supports, and that's big. Goes in too deep, possibly, and gets himself killed. But the rest of his team's there to clean up the rest of what he couldn't. Arrowhead is forced to Primal, though. So that's 1 ult down, but the cleanup is still there. Ult economy now in favor of Dismissed. They finally have this Blade and almost this Nano coming on, but less than a minute remains. They're now swapping over to the Winston Roadhog.
Yeah, so the question is, can they force out that Grav, and can they, manage to dodge the Grav to get that Blade off, or is the Grav just going to be too much? Is it going to stop the Blade here?
High Noon opens the fight from Bohill, and it finds Ezra The Nano Blade is online and ready to be committed, assuming one of them doesn't die. Hurricane is eliminated from Akita with a nice hook. The cart
Watching
is now just
Killjoy
in,
go super low.
it's just in stall mode right now, the cart. The blade is out. Not going to get nanoed, actually, and that might not be needed. So Faith is going to collect Blank, Arrowhead, and a Statica, raw dogging the blade, and just leaves them with a nano. So they still need, and that actually might be necessary. They might need this nano for the recontest, potentially, as 10 seconds are left to go.
I think that was masterful ult usage from the side of Not Dismissed, you know, recognizing that Killjoy was pushed out of the fight, so when they decided to blade, they couldn't just grab. But grab comes out on the fight here. Pokerface going in with the ult, getting nanoed there. Arrowhead taking out Makido. Fifi going down to Killjoy. The question is, can Arrowhead start generating some value in the back lane? Killjoy taking out Biscuit. We see Bowhill in there getting some poke as well. Bowhill might not be able to turn the fight. Pokerface, Anti just stalling for dear life. Is he going to be able to stall long enough to get his team back to the cart? And it doesn't look like he will.
Nice play all around from Matadors there. That was a good hold. That was very close to a big nade is able to clean up the hog in the solo grab. And just one by one, they find the members split off on the rest of that fight, and they turn it around and collect themselves a nice second point hold just at the very end. So now it's all up to Dismissed. They know the distance. They know what they have to work with. Now they just have to, they just have to hold now. And will they be able to, is the question.
So it'll be interesting to see if they try to roll out on the Genji again. I don't think they will. I think they swapped to that, you know, to try and, you know, get that like single fight win to try and push the cart through. And it looks like they did. And, you know, it seems that they have a good understanding of what ults they need to play around to try and, you know, get this blade out successfully. So it'll be interesting to see if they try to confirm it again. Going for the Hog Sigma, going to be very interesting. Bowhill on the Ashe. It's going to be interesting to see if maybe we get a Mercy again and Fifi going on the Kree. What are we going to see?
Ezra taking some inspiration and is going the Genji himself. Statica is on the Tracer, and they're going to be running a Mercy Ana with the double bubble dive. That leaves the Ana open. That does leave the Ana open, unless the Zarya is always next to her at all times, though. So that could be an easy target, but granted, Dismissed is not running a dive comp. They are running, you know, the Sigma Hog, so unless Bowhill and Feifei can find some nice angles, I think Hurricane will be okay on the Ana. But we'll have
Looks
to
like
see.
we see Ezra going onto the Echo here. Would have been interesting to see the Genji, because you really want to see Mercy Ana if you're playing a Genji there, so you can, you know, damage boost the nano, or damage boost the blade, or nano the blade as well, but it doesn't look like that's what we're going to see today.
As for gambling her ahead, trying to get some peak poke damage into this almost double sniper. McCree's basically a sniper. Arrowhead almost loses her life to this hook. Really just hard to dive that. That's a big nade onto the Sigma. Can any follow-up be found? And yes, there it is. Both from the Monkey and Ezra's Echo. And that's already one member down there on the back foot. Fefe finds a nice kill onto Statica's Tracer. But that's still on the back foot. And Bowhill gets anti. He's literally 1 HP and he's going to get cleaned up along with Biscuit. So now, and the res comes through, and now it's just, they're on the back foot already, and they've already lost point 1. Or excuse me, point A. Things are not looking good for Dismissed.
Absolutely, and you know, I think what we saw there was a mismanagement of resources from Not Dismissed there. Pokerface using his shift so early, using his accretion so early to try and eat some damage that, you know, it was just free for Dart, or for Hurricane to throw in the anti-nade and just get so much value off of the dive there. Very unfortunate. You don't like to see it if you're on the side of Not Dismissed here.
The Coffee McCree gets slept and forced off the high ground. 5 minutes is a tall time bake to answer to when you only have a 1 point left to hold. And Ezra cleans up Poker just as his Eat runs out. The res is going to be able to come through quite safely, and Arrowhead with a nice nade and follow-up gets cleaned up. Feifei tries to find anything while high noon. Is not going to find anything, but Arrowhead gets the res, so now things are back and pretty even for both teams. Boho gets separated and he's going to get killed. The rest of his team's falling to the low ground now, except for Poker and the Ana, who are very split. Forced to nano the Sigma to try and find any source of value in this terrible position that they've gotten themselves into. A nade onto Hog is going to get Makito cleaned up real quick. Arrowhead's naded, so she has to back out just a little bit too, even though she's in Primal. Ezra cleans up Feifei, and a nano comes on to Arrowhead, and one by one Dismissed is falling. And slowly, Matadors, this map is more in their favor. They just can't find any kills. This res is not even going to get to come through. And it's now all on the stall game. Oh, and this grab and nade just destroys the Hog, cleans up the Lucio, and it's all up to Fifi to stall it as long as they can. It's just Soldier with Bowhill now too, joining him alongside. Feifei's down. and no one else is able to touch, and that will be a 3-0. Matadors wins the series by taking Dorado.
You know, I think a couple of things that we saw here from Matadors that just, you know, cemented them, giving them that slight edge was, you know, their masterful ult usage, right? You know, they were weaving ults in left and right to just win fights, and they were ulting first as well. So, you know, they took, the initiative here and really ran with it. So they, you know, they were playing by their own tempo, and Not Dismissed were really struggling to find their own tempo here, as well as Ezra coming in with those insane high noons, showing the value of high ground as well. You know, I think that's one of the biggest things we saw. We also saw a little bit of a tough mismanagement of resources in terms of Not Dismissed Red. You know, any answers that they might have had to anti-nade, Makido was just throwing out bubbles. And so, you know, there was so much that, you know, throwing out bubbles, throwing out accretion. And so, you know, nade just ended up being free. And so they were able to engage off these nades. And it's tough because when you don't have the resources to stop the nade, the enemy team can just barrel roll over you. So...
Once again, even back on lobby, even though the series is over, they're still swapping the icons to be in sync. Now, currently, we went from Shanghai to just the standard white Overwatch logo.
So Matadors, it's interesting to see their player profiles are on point, matching perfectly. You know, just swapping those icons after every game. I think that's really what gave them the biggest edge in this game.
I think
Just
they should nerf
synergy.
that in the next patch, honestly.
I agree. You know, make it so that you can only change your icon once a week.
While they're at it, they should... I'm gonna stop myself before I get run away. Actually, you know what? They should make Hog be able to hook through shields. I think that'd be a great change.
Yeah, hook through shields. You know, I think a 10-second Dragon Blade. You know, I don't think 8 seconds was enough. I think we need 10 seconds on Dragon Blade.
I think it should be a cooldown as well, and Genji shouldn't have an ult. He just has 3 abilities.
Absolutely. You know, just a nice 20-second cooldown on Dragon Blade. I think that would be fantastic to see.
I mean, it's fine. It's Blizzard. They would never turn an ultimate into a cooldown. Baptiste. Anyway, so... But that's going to do it for the losers semifinals. Matadors are going to be moving on to... what is it? I believe the grand finals, actually. Between
let's
C9.
Take a quick look at the bracket there. So, yeah. Looks like we may actually... Yeah, they're going into... I think they still have to play Louisiana Purchase tomorrow, actually.
Oh, they do? Yeah, this is the semis, right? They have to play Louisiana, and then that decides who plays C9.
Absolutely. Going to be exciting to see that next matchup tomorrow. See if either Louisiana can maybe make a little bit of a redemption and come back to face C9 in the finals, or if Matadors are hungry enough to push their way to the finals and face C9 in an epic battle. All I know is that I'm excited to see some excellent games, some excellent gameplay, and I think with that, yeah, fun games tonight.
Incredible games tonight.
Incredible games. We even got to see a single Titanfall incoming.
And a reverse sweep.
And a reverse sweep, too. Oh, my goodness. I almost completely forgot about that from the excellent gameplay here of Matadors just weaving in and out. Very hard for Not Dismissed, but they also played valiantly. We saw a lot of good Hog gameplay coming out from Makido as well. So
we saw a lot of good things from a lot of the players. The DPS line on both teams. Bohill almost made like an entire really like clutch play on Ikamon, and that could have turned things around, but Matadors were able to pick it up and recontest everything.
Yeah, it didn't look like it was quite enough. Looks like we have players going home now, and I think with that, that will wrap up the losers semifinal here. Thank you guys for coming. I'm Armin. I was swapping between color and play-by-play. I am messing up my words today. Play-by-play.
You're okay.
We have Entropy here, your other charismatic flex caster here. It was an absolute joy to come cast these games, and with that, I think we're out.